disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
Wait!
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Boxing podcast broadcasting to you live from the True North. This is good friends to BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we've got a fantastic one for you, as we're going to be previewing some of the big fights taking place this Saturday. Highly entertaining, high-octane fights, at least on paper, so we're going to be talking about all about that. Going to be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour as well, so you guys can call in, give us all your thoughts on everything boxing. Don't forget that if you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature, although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, spread that BDA Gospel. BDA Gospel, we got a Patreon page as well. For as low as $2, you can continue subsidizing and, just fueling our independent, hard-hitting documentary. We're currently working on Boxing's Most Shocking Moments of All Time, Volume 2. The most shocking moments and the most obscure as well. So stay tuned for that. And let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about J.A., Handful of Boxing Review, Frankie Sainz, one of the initiated, Shazar in the house, Warhorse 9, Quick Sloth, Real Talk Boxing. I see Boxing Sage Virtuoso, Meech, The Gucci Berserk, and T. Baggings were just gifted by Dark Haydo. Shout out to Dark Haydo for gifting those 5 gentlemen BDA memberships. Really appreciate it, Dark Haydo. Really appreciate it. You're widening the inner circle, that's for sure. Shout out to you for your generosity. Really, I mean, what else can we call it? Shout out to Dark Haydo for being here as well. So Passive Live, Mark, Super Sardonic, Frank Bay, Quick Sloth, Rapax Trucking Company, 10-4, Alejandro Solis, Lalo Soto Gaming, Grim Reaper, Gene Ryu Jr. 33, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, now, the reason why I was late here was I forgot, because I'm so disinterested in this fight, that I forgot that there was the second leg of the Canelo Berlanga press conference, and so I said, you know what, let me just watch it, just in case I don't miss anything. And the high-octane stuff, they finally told these guys to sell the fight, so they started getting more vociferous with each other. I think it all started with Berlanga saying he's going to beat up Canelo. People are making fun of him because every time Berlanga is asked about what he's going to do on Saturday, he just goes, "You'll see." People ask him, "Hey, you're the much more inexperienced guy. You haven't really looked good against the opposition you fought. How are you going to beat what do you think is going to happen Saturday? You'll see. You'll see." That's all he says. Then he started going after Caleb Plant. Now, I'm not an expert on the art of war, but it seems to me that if you're going at it with somebody on stage, the last thing you want to do is start engaging with somebody off stage, so that now you got to deal with two people at the same time. But berlanga doesn't really strike me as a, I don't think the freight elevator goes up all the way to the final floor. And so then he started getting into it with Plant. Then Canelo said to Plant, "Hey, don't worry, I'll take care of him for you." And Berlanga said, "You ain't gonna take care of nothing." Then they started jawing at each other, the usual posturing. Then it started to get weird. Canelo starts doing some weird gesticulation and gestures with insinuating that he was going to have his way sexually with Edgar Berlanga. And I'm not going to show you all of it because it went on for a bit, but it started to get very bizarre. Check this out. Well, actually, let me wait here because the donations still keep coming from the Dark Hado giving the membership, so we still get them. Hold on a second. Okay, so I think that was the last one. Shout out again to Dark Hado for gifting those membership programs out there. Shout out to him. All right, so like I was saying, this Berlanga Canelo, then it started getting very weird. Very weird. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. Check this out. This is after 2 minutes of them going back and forth with the hand gestures. Hold on a second. I'm waiting for the alert to go down. These alerts, man, they stay on forever. All right, I'm going to put it down. I mean, what's going on here? Who's cheering this in the crowd, by the way? Look at this. I mean, yeah, these people are people in the chat are saying that was this promoted by DD Promotions or something? What's going on here? Bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang.
Your dick in my ass means you're gay. My dick in your mouth means you're really gay.
I mean, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I mean, and then Canelo does the dumb thing that a lot of these fighters do, which is he starts telling Berlanga, you're not better than Mayweather, you're not better than Cotto, you're not better than Plant. And I'm thinking, okay, there you go. Downplay the opposition. That's really going to sell. An already horrible card, and they think it's going to sell. I mean, I'm telling you, it's I don't want to buy this card. Really, I don't want to plow down hard-earned money to watch these two guys fight. But I mean, for the sakes of the show, I got to keep up with it. I got to watch it somehow, right? So, yeah, it's a bad situation all around. That's all I'm going to say. But shout out to everybody in the chat for joining us so far. We got other stuff to talk about. We got Vergil Ortiz this Saturday, and we're going to talk about that here. Let me just invite a couple of people over here. Because I'm really looking forward to this Ortiz card. Let me tell you, I am looking forward. This is probably one of the best fights that I've been looking forward to. And I'm telling you, I don't know how competitive it's going to be. I'm expecting it. I hope it's good. But coming off the heels of Saturday's fantastic card, this is really a treat for us boxing fans to be getting so much high-quality boxing, especially after the last 2 weeks. We sort of had a bit of a dry spell. Ennis versus Avenisian was interesting because Ennis is always going to bring it. But it was a bit of a mismatch, too, on paper. This one, things get a little interesting because, well, we don't know how Ortiz is going to look. Not after all the inactivity. And we saw the inactivity. I mean, it's been proven in the last couple of years, especially the last two. Inactivity is really a killer to some of these fighters. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here with Vergil Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz Jr., by the way, I really got to keep on prefacing it by saying, yeah, Vergil Ortiz Jr. Apparently there's just Vergil Ortiz Sr., his coach. I see we got Recognize jumping in. Haven't seen him in a while. Recognize, you there? I hear you there, Recognize. Don't pretend you're not there, man.
What the hell is going on?
Did you just wake up or something?
Can you hear me, BDA?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you just wake up or something?
No, why? What did I do?
No, because you sound a little bit out.
I seem lost.
You sound anesthetized.
Yeah, I was lost.
All right. All right. Hey, listen. Before we get on with this Vergil Ortiz, because he's fighting the very tough Sergey Bohachuk or I think that's how you pronounce his name, this Saturday. And then on top of that, we got Venado Lopez taking on the always tough Angelo Leo on ESPN. That's going to be a good one, too. Did you catch the Canelo Berlanga press conference that just took place?
I just saw what you played now. I saw the first one.
Was it?
I saw the first one. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I saw the one yesterday, and then I just saw the highlights here. I don't know. Boxing's getting gay, man. Maybe it always was, and I was just too blind when I was younger to see it, but I don't know. It's weird seeing Canelo act like that. And then Berlanga playing along with it, you know. I hope that's not what they're trying to sell. One guy's going to rape the other in the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I know HBO is no longer in the boxing business, but this looks like some Oz type shit going on, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I guess they're trying to sell the fight, but I wouldn't go that direction, you know. I would go more of the, I'm gonna beat you, you underestimating me, you know, the normal shit.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Normal. Emphasis on normal. This ain't normal, man. Well, I mean, it might be normal 21st century Western culture, but I don't know, man. By the way, Bucho, I see you're in the chat, man. Can you make this our new donation alert or subscriber alert too? Anytime somebody subscribes, we need this image here. I mean, come on, man. It's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I'm not going to have it, man. Not on this show.
Don't take that from Bucho.
I wanted to ask you, man. We didn't catch you on the last couple of weeks here. Crawford Madrimov. Did you manage to see the fight?
Yeah, I did. It was close. It was a close fight. I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's a cliche at this point because it never usually does, but that's a fight that could have really went either way, in my opinion. It could have went either way. I don't have a problem with Crawford getting the decision. He might have taken it the last 2 rounds. I heard you talk about that, so I was looking out for that when I watched the fight because I heard you speak on it before I watched the fight.
Oh, okay.
And then I watched it, and I kind of see what you meant by that. Like, in other words, I guess you were saying the fight was close going into the last 2 rounds. Maybe it could have gone either way. It was even, and then probably Crawford pulled it off in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah,
but it was a close fight. It was real close.
Yeah, I didn't score the fight, but my impression was that Crawford edged it. However, we're talking about the guy that some people have pound for pound #1, the guy that some people were saying was going to easily outbox Canelo Alvarez. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more later on in the show because the people are going back and forth on Twitter about Canelo's a dog or, you know, Crawford's the one that's ducking now because all of a sudden they realize they can't beat Canelo. So I guess we're going to address that, but, you know, it's interesting, recognize, because we were talking about that for the last 6 months maybe, when people were throwing that fight around as a possibility, you know, Canelo-Crawford. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. People keep bringing up Mayweather. Well, Mayweather was a smaller guy than Canelo. First of all, no, he wasn't. If you watch that fight, there wasn't that much of a size difference when they fought each other. Number 2, Canelo, that was 11 years ago, that fight. And number 3, Mayweather's a guy that at that time could stand in front of you, make you miss. Crawford doesn't do that. Crawford uses his legs and his offense as his defense. Other than that, he doesn't really move his head that much. So he's there to be hit, either to the body, to the head, much more than Mayweather. What do you think about that when people keep bringing up Mayweather, Canelo?
Excellent point. You're right. And Crawford doesn't fight like Mayweather. You know, back then, like you said, Mayweather could kind of stand center ring, use some back foot movements, but pretty much just stay right there and make you miss. Where Crawford, he doesn't do that. Crawford's never really done that throughout his whole career. You know, like you said, he uses his legs. He does get hit. And you would have to factor in that if he does go up to 168, he's going to be slower. And you know, he's also getting older. So I don't think the comparison is valid because, you know, 2 different styles, timing too. Like Canelo's not the same guy he was when he fought Mayweather. You know, he was like 22, 23. And you know, there was a lot of other shit going on too in that fight. So or going into that fight.
That's right. Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Let me see real quick here. We got some. Okay, so shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for his contribution with the super chat. He says, what's he saying? He says, Berlanga's mom must be proud of his hand gestures. I mean, let me tell you, if I were his mother or his father, I'd take him to church and then afterwards I'd put some soap in his mouth. I know he wasn't. Oh, he was cursing too, by the way. So yeah, that's apropos. And shout out to Warhorse9 for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "Was that a press conference or a circle jerk?" I mean, I gotta tell you, it certainly wasn't something I'd want kids watching. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was disgusting.
Was Canelo dressed in like blood in, blood out? Did I see that right?
He's dressed. You know what? A little bit. He's dressed like he's resting in the beach or something, you know, like or he's, you know, somewhere in Miami.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Órale, vato.
El gallo negro. Look at that.
El gallo negro. El gallo rojo.
Yeah, el gallo rojo. Yeah. All right, listen. Let's move on from this. We'll talk about Canelo later. I know that some caller is going to bring up Canelo, but recognize we got Vergil Ortiz fighting this Saturday, and Ortiz is a destroyer in there. All of his fights have ended by knockout. This guy has not seen the final bell ever. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here because he's fighting Sergey Bohachuk, who only has one loss, which was a knockout that came out of nowhere against Brandon Adams. Since that was in 2021. Yeah. Since then, he's been piling up the wins. In the last time we saw him, he was fighting, beating up Brian Mendoza. He's 29 years old. He's 6 feet tall, whereas Vergil Ortiz is 5'10". So it's two tall guys, relatively tall guys, especially for welterweight, super welterweight thereabouts. Bohachuk is going to bring it. He's a slugger. Doesn't matter how tall he is. He's going to be fighting on the inside, and we know Vergil Ortiz can crack. Well, what do you expect this Saturday?
That's the real question for me, right? We at least on this channel and everybody that follows, we know that Vergil Ortiz on the come up look like, sensational. He looked like one of these guys that's gonna be the next guy up. Mm-hmm. Then he got sick, right? And he took like a year off. And since coming back, he hasn't fought anybody. Two guys that didn't even finish a round with him, which is a good sign, right? It's a good sign for a guy who suffered a health issue. So for me, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, so these guys that don't belong in the ring, you're getting rid of them. You're throwing out the garbage early, right? You're throwing it out real early. So that's a good sign. So now he's gonna go in there with a guy that I think prior to him getting sick, I would have been very confident the styles contrast that it would have been a good fight, but Ortiz would have got him and stopped him. Okay, eventually. Because he would have been right there. And I think that with Ortiz's punching power, he would eventually break him down. Now we gotta see if he can actually do that against a guy of the level of a Bohachuk. Because if you could destroy Bohachuk, right? Who's been, and I think I'm saying his name the right way, I'm not sure. But if you could destroy a guy of that level who just beat up what was the guy's name? That knocked out Fundora.
Yeah, Mendoza.
Sebastian. Mendoza. Sorry, Mendoza. Yeah, Mendoza who clearly got beaten by a guy like Tim Tszyu. And so and you see Bohachuk beat him up pretty much the same way. He beat him up real bad in that fight. So it goes to show you the level of opponents in terms of that weight class, right? There's probably the elite level, and then there's guys like a Bohachuk who's probably, we don't know exactly, because we know that he can beat up a guy like Mendoza, who's coming off a loss against Tim Tszyu, right?
Right.
And so, but he clearly beats his ass. So what is that? Okay, in other words, what does that tell you about Bohachuk? Bohachuk is above that level. So we're trying to find out where Ortiz is at. This is a good litmus test because it's nothing like what he's been going in the ring with in his last two fights since his comeback. Intrigued. Going in prior to his health issues, I would have comfortably picked Ortiz in a tough fight. Because Bohachuk is real tough. He, like you said, he fights on the inside despite his height. He's a grinder. He seems like he has good punching power. He could take a pretty good punch. Yes, he's been stopped, but only one time. And I, like I said, I would have confidently picked Ortiz. But right now, it's more like I think I'm still going with him, but I'm not 100% sure he could do that. I got to see him do it.
That's a great breakdown right there, recognize. I see we also got Sobers jumping in. Sobers, what are your thoughts on the fight this Saturday between Ortiz and Bohachuk?
I'm sick of Vergil the Virgin.
Nah, come on.
So I asked myself, how much chuck could Bohachuk, how much wood could Bohachuk chuck if a Bohachuk could chuck Bohachuk wood?
Great enunciation right there, man. Yeah.
I fucked that up, right? No, bro. But I'm sick of Vergil, bro. It's time. He hasn't made 154 yet. You know, this guy beat up Brian Mendoza. I think he's gonna beat up Vergil. It's time.
Okay, now hold on. Are you just saying that because you're trying to provoke a certain?
I challenge any Vergil superfans to get on here right now.
There you go.
And come at me.
All right. Well, listen. There you have it. I'll give you my thoughts on the fight. I'm really looking forward to this because Vergil Ortiz is must-see TV. He brings it, and he does it with technique. He's not just going in there throwing hands, waiting to see what hits, and then, of course, just doing it with his chin up in the air. No. He's doing it behind an educated, tight guard, a shotgun jab, which I believe is one of the most underrated jabs, although it's up to him to prove that he can do it against a top opponent. Because, again, for a long time, Ortiz, they were taking him on the right path. Little by little, they were putting him in there against tough guys like Lozano, or not Lozano. What was the guy's name? Hold on a second. There was a guy that had given. He used to be good at the time at 140. Let me just look up the record here because I forget the names. So Herrera. That wasn't him. But Herrera was. But see, Herrera's a veteran. That's the type of guy you put him in. Orozco. That's the guy. Orozco was a nice, tough, strong Mexican fighter. Ortiz takes him out. Samuel Vargas, the guy that they put him in there with Amir Khan and Errol Spence not that long ago, beforehand. That's the type of guy you feed him. Then, little by little, they put him in there against Maurice Hooker, who's got length, he's got a good jab, he's got hand speed. Ortiz takes him out. Then they put him up against Kavaliauskas, strong dude, contender, no longer a guy that's past it or whatever. Ortiz had a little bit of a scare there, but then ended up taking Kavaliauskas out. Then they put him in there against a tricky southpaw McKinsey. So they were on the right path. Then what happens? Injuries, which are still mysterious to this day. We don't know exactly what happened. People speculate. Some people say, well, he just got sick. Other people like to use the word duck right away, and they say, he's ducking. He was ducking Crawford. He was ducking Stanionis. He's a duck. And then subsequently, he's come back twice this year, but he's never even going a full round against these guys. So that's the big question. The inactivity, the rust. Is he going to be rusty? And I think that's a pertinent question to ask because of what I mentioned, his style. He throws everything with power, and that requires a high level of energy, an aerobic stamina, cardio, to be able to pull that off and not get tired. And so, you can do that when you're active, you can do that when you're young, and he's still young, he's 26, but again, he's been inactive. So is he going to be able to offer this high-octane, high-voltage type of style of fight, of pace, if he's not feeling it? Because it's one thing to be still, I say I'm training all the time, I'm in the ring, sparring. Yeah, it's one thing to do that. It's another one to be able to do it time in and time out in the ring. The ring is a whole different story. So that's what's going to be interesting to see. That being said, I do think he's going to pull it off against Bohachuk. That's my final pick right off the bat. But again, I want to see how his stamina looks, how his timing looks, how his speed looks, if he can get inside. Because Bohachuk is the type of guy that, hey, maybe you'll land on him early. He's going to come to you, so you can land on him. But if he keeps coming at you, and you get tired, what's plan B? So that's gonna be interesting to see. I will say, however, Bohachuk, when he fought Mendoza's a different fighter from Ortiz. Mendoza was just waiting for a perfect shot, kind of like the thing he pulled out against Fundora. And that really was to his detriment. It allowed Bohachuk to just beat him up. Here, he's going to have a guy that's going to meet him in the center of the ring who's going to be snapping a jab at him. So it's going to be much more difficult proposition. Number two, I don't want to put too much stock in the Brandon Adams loss, but he got caught with some overhand shots that stunned him. And Ortiz, even a 154, can still crack. So it's going to be a problem for him, especially since Bohachuk, I don't know if you guys remember watch the Mendoza fight. One of the punches that he was throwing constantly was a right hook behind Mendoza's guard. And then he would just leave it there. And there were a couple of times when Mendoza hit him with a left hook. You can only get away with that so much with Vergil Ortiz before he finally gets you on the forehead or somewhere and wobbles you. If he wobbles Bohachuk, you know Ortiz is going to jump on him, and then it's probably lights out, the way Ortiz has done to 21 previous opponents. Number 3, I think it's number 3, the point that I'm in. He's taller than Ortiz. He just stands there with the earmuffs up, so that's going to give Ortiz a chance to land those sickening body shots of his that he tends to stop people with. So it should be fun for as long as it lasts. If Ortiz, and I'm not taking anything away from Bohachuk here, but I just think he's a limited fighter. So I think Ortiz should be able to take him out, but it's also going to be highly dependent on where Ortiz is at in his career right now. So that's my little breakdown right there. Probably going to go live tomorrow or another day because I want to show more film to really, or some film rather, to really highlight my points. So your official prediction, recognize, you said Ortiz, or just remind me? All right.
I'm gonna go with Ortiz. I'm not sure if I'm picking knockout or it goes 12 rounds. I'm not sure about that yet, but I'm still confident in Ortiz. Not 100% sure, but I think the styles matchup favors Ortiz, and normally I would go Ortiz by stoppage, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I might change my mind. I might as of right now. I'm just gonna say flat out, Vergil beats him.
Sobers, I'm not asking you who you want to see win. I'm asking you who you think is gonna win.
Right. When I ask you who you want to.
I understand. So, by going what you guys are saying, I got Bohachuk winning, right? Because did y'all see? I seen Vergil Ortiz release a tweet that he's like, I can't wait to go home so my grandma can make me some hamburger helper.
Right.
Hey, bro, you can't fight, dude, if that's what you're being raised on. I'm sorry.
Come on, bro. Hamburger helpers are really good, man. Have you ever had them? Have you ever had hamburger helper?
Yeah, bro.
I mean, they're not. They're not fucking tacos and shit like that, but they're good enough.
I'm not eating.
I used to, look, when I look at hamburger helper, bro, I remember when I was little, I used to see my friends eating hamburger helper at their house, like, damn, bro, they're lucky their mom's buying them a hamburger helper. What I didn't know until I grew up later on, I was like, well, their moms didn't know how to cook.
Exactly, yeah.
Hamburger helper, I used to be like, damn, these motherfuckers are poor.
These motherfuckers are poor.
Listen, hamburger helper, I always preferred, whenever I did taste hamburger helper, I always thought, this tastes better than Chef Boy preserved foods that you find out there. But I mean, you eat, like Rick and I said, you eat hamburger helper if you have to mix it up or whatever every once in a while. You don't eat that every day, man. I mean, there's too many additives, preservatives in there. I'm not touching that stuff, not anymore. And the other thing I wanted to say is, regardless of what Vergil Ortiz like, look, listen, if he wants to combine Mexican food and then every other day eat a little hamburger helper, fine. That's not the only thing he's eating, though, according to some of the rumors that we hear on the internet. I mean, this dude appears to...
he's getting the ground beef for the hamburger helper right there.
Tell out. Is that him or is that an internet rumor? Let's be honest. Like, I got to ask that question. I never knew the true answer. I think I know the answer to it, but I don't know if that's really him. Eating that girl's butt like that.
Well, I don't know either, man. Again, we're just...
That's where he gets the ground beef for the hamburger helper.
Ah, come on.
Oh, man.
He's grinding down. He really is grinding down on that. That's for sure. Look at him go, man.
If that's him, man, he's going to town, man. He was happy. He was in a happy place.
Wasn't there was a Cholo gang leader that was famous for that, I think. By the way, did you guys hear, you guys are questioning whether he did or not, but he was talking cryptically about eating one time on a podcast, and people were saying that if you read between the lines, he was talking about eating ass, and he was getting very intricate about it. Like, he's got a whole system down and everything. Well, I'll play you the clips. This is what he was saying on the podcast when the issue came up.
Aerate it, warm it up, that cream, pure vanilla.
It's like wine tasting for him. You know, like how people.
I'm gonna say that's not him. It sounds like him, but I don't think that's him.
I mean, listen. All I'm saying is there's something going on here. That's for sure.
Amazing.
All right, listen. But Vergil Ortiz. Okay, so if he wins this fight, it puts him. You know, it's a nice win. I'm not saying it's a.
If he wins impressively, he stops him. You know, he beats him up and he stops him. It was a good fight, and he ends up stopping him. Then you start saying to yourself, well, you know, what's the difference between his victory and, let's say, a Crawford's victory over Madrimov?
Oh, well. I mean, Madrimov did have two good wins, one over Soro and one over Kurbanov.
Yes.
Kurbanov was highly rated, I believe, at 154. Bohachuk is rated number 5. So for a guy like Ortiz coming up in weight after a layoff, and he's had less than 3 minutes of I think he's only had about 3 minutes of combat combined since that 2-year or a year layoff. So yeah, you're right, man. I mean, it is impressive. It would be impressive if you can get him out of there.
Yeah, it would make me wonder, if he just took time off, or if he was really sick, the time off he took, he recovered and he's back to form.
He probably got sick from eating all that ass.
Yeah, he got a little.
That ground.
What is it?
That's where you get wrapped, though, not from overworking.
What is it that you get from eating ass? Not E. coli, right? What is it? The infection that these people get?
I don't know, but it's got to be something.
Yeah, I'm sure you get something from eating ass, dude.
Did Michael Douglas
get pink eye? You definitely get pink eye.
You definitely get some pink eye.
Didn't Michael Douglas, the actor, get HPV from going down on chicks?
Well, he said that's how he got like throat cancer or something.
Oh, okay, right. I mean,
from eating too much pussy. That's what he said. The doctor.
I mean, he was married to Catherine Zeta-Jones. I mean, I think I would have done the same thing too.
I mean, my thing is, I keep telling people I'm on a true path of the Crimson Cross. The less time I copulate, the better. The more pious I am. That's the equation. The less time you spend copulating, like when I'm with a girl, I try to be done in about 5 pumps or less, because that means I'm holy. That means I'm pious. That means I'm connected to God. Because I'm not connected to this whole, the most baseless, primitive things.
Oh, you're like Canelo. You're like Canelo. Canelo did 5 pumps to, letting berlanga know what he's gonna do to him.
Bam, boom.
I mean, I gotta tell you that I think that's why this is a bad look for boxing, man. Look at this.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when the guy's saying right in the middle of him doing the pump, he's saying "Viva Mexico."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Disrespecting Mexico like that with this.
It's not a good look, man. That's not a good look at all.
Obscene gestures, and then he brings up "Viva Mexico." I mean, come on.
And then you got berlanga doing the he's whacking off to that. Like, this is just terrible, man.
It is terrible. Absolutely deplorable. Has no place in boxing nor in a boxing podcast. Shame on anyone that brings this up or spends 15 minutes talking about this. But I will say this, or keeps replaying.
Oh, you mean us?
Well, no, I didn't say us, but I'll say this, man. In terms of Vergil Ortiz, I'm telling you, I really like this guy's jab. Usually, you see guys, pressure fighters, they have to work their way in, and if you can keep them on the outside, then you pretty much disrupted or nullified half of their game, at least half of their game. Ortiz has the advantage, kind of like Gennady Golovkin, that if he wants to stay on the outside, he can still beat you with that jab. And that's something that I think is going to serve Ortiz well. That's his ace in the hole, especially in this fight. So
Gennady Golovkin had the kind of jab, and maybe Ortiz does have that. You knew it was coming, and it still worked. Obviously, it changed a little bit when he fought the elite level fighters, right? It started to change. I mean, he still was effective, but I don't think he was as effective, right? But it'll carry you through these type of fights, the Bohachuks of the world. So I think he has that kind of jab still, and so I don't know if it's going to be as good as Triple G, obviously, but yeah, you're right about that. His jab could allow him to do a lot of things. He could come forward with that jab. He could stay on the outside because he's pretty long. I think he's just as tall and he has length like Triple G. I think the same exact size in terms of that.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He's 5'10", and supposedly Triple G was 5'10" as well. Although it does appear like Triple G had a wider back, whereas Ortiz looks, I don't know, he looks different. I don't know why, body-wise. Maybe it's because Triple G did have more muscle on that frame. Because he's a natural 160-pounder, whereas Ortiz was at 140. He was at 140 not that long ago. So he's been moving up gradually. Yeah, and I hope nobody misconstrues what I said. When I said he's got an advantage like Triple G in that he can jab from the outside, I'm not saying he's got a jab as good as Golovkin. In fact, I don't think I've seen a jab as good as Golovkin since Golovkin retired or since he's been out of the scene for a while. But it's the type of jab that will allow, because I invite people to rewatch the Kavaliauskas fight. In the beginning, Ortiz was, from the get-go, he's pumping that jab. And even when and after Kavaliauskas stunned him with a right uppercut, Ortiz just went back to that jab, piled on the points, and it's a type of jab that can weaken a fighter because he's snapping their heads back. So that debilitates a fighter, his opponent. It makes them, he tenderizes them, and then he goes for the finish with the rest of his offense. So that's why I'm saying he's got an advantage in that, because there's a lot of pressure fighters. Like, first, I'll give you an example. Angelo Leo, who's nowhere near the puncher that Ortiz is. He's a guy that fights at, he used to fight at 122. He's going to be fighting at 126 this Saturday against Venado Lopez. He's an inside fighter through and through. And he doesn't have a jab as good as Ortiz. So when he's on the outside, he's got a decent jab, but he's not exactly going to be dominating fights from long range. Ortiz can do that. The only thing I don't like about Ortiz's jab, and hopefully we get a chance to watch that later on, but when he does jab, he drops that hand just a tiny little bit. Sometimes he overcommits and overextends his torso forward, so he's there to be countered with right hands, like Kavaliauskas was able to take advantage of. And finally, the jab is, what else was it about the jab? He drops the hand, he overcommits, and sometimes he just stays there. He doesn't close the guard right away. So he gets countered with jabs. But other than that, from a power position or from a power perspective, he's got a nice shotgun jab. It is Sergio Moro was saying that it's like a right hand a little bit. It feels just as strong almost. So he's got that down. It's a good weapon to have. And somebody in the chat said that Vergil Ortiz is overrated. Yeah, I can agree with that. If some people are saying that he's going to be taking over the division, I think it's too early at this point to say. But so far, I like what I'm seeing, and I've seen enough to pick him over Bohachuk. But there's some asterisks in there in regards to how fresh he's going to look in this fight, how his stamina is going to look, just a whole bunch of things. And here's the other thing I'm worried about, guys. How many times has he been in a fight and then he pulls out at the last minute? I mean, we're still, it's Tuesday, we're a couple of days away from the fight. I'm afraid here that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and Ortiz pulls out of the fight. I see the message on Twitter there.
If that happens, then there's something up. There's not that much. It could be a couple of things, but it boils down to they're not too confident that he's ready for that level of fight of an opponent.
Exactly. And apparently that disease he's got, with Jimmy, I wish Jimmy was here because he was talking about it. He knows more about it than we do. That supposedly it was some sort of disease that eats muscle away or something. Wasn't that what was happening? There's something that was eating away at his bicep?
Yeah, it had something to do with him, the way he was losing weight. It was eating up the muscles, I guess. Best way to say it.
Probably got it like Sober said. He probably got it from eating ass. Wasn't that an X-Files? Wasn't that an X-Files episode? By the way, I thought that was an X-Files episode, right? Mulder was eating ass, and then he got a flesh-eating virus or something. Here's what Google has. I don't remember. Was that?
No, you go ahead, BDA.
Here's what Google has to say. Ortiz has not boxed since August 2022 when he knocked out then undefeated Michael McKinson. The fight had been delayed for 5 months because Ortiz was diagnosed with the blood disorder rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis. Is a condition that causes your muscles to break down, which leads to muscle death. Whoa. When this happens, toxic components of your muscle fibers enter your circulation system and kidneys. This can cause kidney damage, which I suspect only exacerbates when you're killing yourself to make weight on fight week, right? Guys, I've noticed this. Hopefully, I'm not casting aspersions on Robert Garcia's gym and roster, because he certainly has one of the best out there. But isn't that the book on Robert Garcia? That he tends to develop weight bullies. Like, he tries to get these guys to fight at the lowest division possible. Is it just me, or is that really the general story on Robert Garcia out there? Anyone know? Can anyone clarify?
That's not something I noticed in particular, but I feel like all boxers try it.
Yeah, I
don't know. What weight bully that he really had? Was it maybe? I don't know.
Well, I would have to
think Margarito was a weight bully.
I'll give
Margarito,
you 2
maybe.
I'll give you 2 examples. Well, they were from way back, so hopefully my memory refreshes while I'm naming them for some more recent examples. But Mikey Garcia, remember he missed weight against Juan Manuel Lopez, and he looked like a dead man walking for that weigh-in. And you can see it on HBO. HBO had a small feature called 24 Hours, which they would cover the 24 hours before, like 24 hours spanning the weigh-in and then the fight itself. And Mikey Garcia was dead man walking. Brandon Rios was another guy that used to kill himself to make lightweight, and he was a slugger. And I'm missing other. I know there were other guys. Maybe somebody can just refresh my memory in the chat. More recent examples, but like you said, right?
Oh, yeah, Maidana.
Maidana.
No, so I'm trying to think who else had his camp. I don't know, Delorme. He was in his camp for a while.
People will let us know in the chat. But to be fair, the flip side of that coin is that you could. I suppose that if you dig deep enough, you could find that numerous examples for other guys as well, other trainers. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just overreaching here. I don't know. What else? So yes, okay. So that's Vergil Ortiz Jr. Really looking forward to seeing that one on Saturday. Who else is fighting on the undercard, by the way? Let me check it out. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. I think Lindolfo Delgado is fighting. Lindolfo's fighting. Finally, they're putting him on the main card. He's not that entertaining, but it was about time they put a guy who's relatively skilled in there. And then on the zone, I don't even know if they have an undercard. It doesn't say on ESPN. It just says Bohachuk versus Vergil Ortiz Jr. On the zone, the zone. So that's going to be interesting. Well, let's talk about that too as well. Anyone else want to have anything to say about Vergil Ortiz Jr.?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think he's going down.
on what? In the fight or afterwards? On something?
Yeah.
Hey, you said it, man, not me. I'm asking.
I think he's going down in the fight, bro. And later on, he'll find some lady to go down on.
Oh, all right. Okay. We're not doing Vergil Ortiz because I don't know if people missed it, but this past Saturday, they were asking the Turk whether what we could expect in regards to Crawford versus Canelo, and he said, if that fight cannot be made, we're going to be looking for Crawford Ortiz. He didn't say Crawford Giron Ennis, which is the fight that a lot of these YouTube, not YouTube guys, but I'm talking about the YouTube people like Jean Citel and all those guys, you know, the Fight Hub, Fight Hype. That's the fight that those type of guys want to see. The mainstream media as well in boxing. That's the type of boxing that they want to see. That's Giron Ennis. So I was surprised that the Turk didn't go with the bell of the ball, which is Ennis right now at the moment. He went with Ortiz because I suspect he knows Ortiz might be a better challenge for Crawford because he's not as wide open for shots as Giron Ennis is. But later on, earlier rather, the Turk did mention that Ennis is a possibility, or that he wants to put more of Ennis in his cards. He wants to get that guy in there. So maybe that's a possibility for Crawford, or maybe for Ortiz, because we've been seeing that the Turk is unafraid to push for fights and sink or swim type of affairs, kind of like they did with Jared Anderson. They weren't afraid of getting him a loss. So maybe they do the same thing with Ennis versus Ortiz, and then the winner gets Crawford. And in the meantime, Crawford fights somebody like, I don't know, Tim Tszyu or somebody else, or, you know, maybe Jesus Ramos. I don't know, but it could be interesting. Or maybe Israel Madrimov rematch. That would be interesting as well. Okay, so that's a possibility right there. Vergil Ortiz needs to win this Saturday before we even talk about anything else, and it's a tough fight for him. after coming off of inactivity. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, yes, indeed, Venado Lopez is fighting this Saturday on ESPN, and El Venado is taking on a guy that is a very tough outing. He's coming off a nice win over El Cuete Baez. I think that was his last fight. And El Venado Lopez is one of the top 126-pounders, but he's got competition now that El Divino Espinosa is there. You still have Robesi Ramirez, who looked sensational in his last fight. So featherweight is a very tough division. It's got punchers all over the place. And then on top of that, Inoue might be making his way there at some point in his career. So Venado Lopez is in a prime position to get some of those fights if he keeps on winning. He's got to get past Leo first, who's the same age as he is, slightly taller, longer reach. That's impressive to me that this dude used to be a 122 not that long ago, and now he's actually got the dimensions to perhaps look bigger than Lopez this Saturday. Bigger, longer reach. He's taller. He's got more pro experience as well. Although he doesn't hit as hard as Venado Lopez. This is gonna be good, man, because Angelo Leo brings it to his opponents. He will bring it. And Venado Lopez, we know, can crack. He's got a herky-jerky style. One of the, not as unorthodox as Navarrete, but unorthodox in his own right. Guys, what do you expect this Saturday?
I didn't even know Venado Lopez was fighting Saturday, to be honest.
Yeah, they haven't been promoting it that much. I mean, I'm telling you, top rank on ESPN. I don't know whose fault it is, and I don't really care. All I know is that the content that they've been putting on this year has been terrible. Well, not terrible, but it's been subpar compared to what they used to put out. And that's why when people said, the Shakur Stevenson fans were like, "Oh, hey, he's the only fighter this year on Top Rank who's managed to hit a million views in one of the telecasts." I'm thinking, yeah, because have you seen the rest of the crap that they were putting on? I mean, it's not surprising. And so this fight, this one is at least it's good. It's not the best fight, but it's good. And Lopez is a big puncher, like I said, bona fide. But I'm curious to see if he can take Angelo Leo out of there.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they were going to fight, but that is a good fight, bro. That could be my fault. I haven't been following up, a lot of these fights that are coming up. That's a good test, man. That's a good test.
I don't blame you. It's summertime. It's when you start to. That's when you get the most business for your pool kit supply. That you sell stolen pool supplies, right? In the summer, in the streets of Brooklyn.
Allegedly.
Yes, sure. Excuse me. I should have said allegedly. I mean, come on, my mistake. But
that's what they say. But if you're looking for a deal, call me.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want any pool supplies, I mean, they fell out of a truck, man. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Recognizes the guy to connect you. But Venado Lopez, I don't know how this fight's going to look because he couldn't take Joed Gonzalez out of there. And not that anyone's ever taken him out of there. I mean, Navarrete hit Joed Gonzalez with everything but the kitchen sink, and he wasn't going down. And so I'm unsurprised that Venado Lopez does seem to have one-punch power, slightly superior to Navarrete. So it'll be interesting to see how that, if he can take out a guy like Angelo Leo, who's similar to Joed Gonzalez. I mean, he just brings it. He will be coming forward. He'll be in Venado Lopez's face. And Venado Lopez seems to take breaks sometimes in between fights. I mean, in between, in the fight itself. He's not fighting for 3 minutes of every round. So it's going to be a band burner as well. Hopefully, the fights don't overlap. But they have in the past between the Zone and TSN. So we shall see. Let me read a couple. Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. We're going to be opening up the phone lines real soon. Shout out to Michael Poe for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, enjoy gift. Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you for your contribution, man. Really appreciate it and good to hear back from you. Good to hear you're still around. Shout out to Nightmare for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, BDA, what do you think Vergil's biggest flaw is? Well, he's got a couple. His guard, he relies on his guard as his defense. Every once in a while, he'll take a step back and then step right back in with his offense. But for the most part, his guard is his main line of defense, and he doesn't close it in time sometimes. He leaves a big gap in there, which leaves him susceptible for jabs. Like I said, too, sometimes he'll make the same mistake Eric Morales used to make. When he jabs, he sort of leans over too much with his torso. so that he looks kind of like a K, like the letter K. That's how he looks sometimes when he would jab, especially if he misses. And that leaves him open for right hands, counter right hands. He doesn't bring the jab right back. So over committing, I say, is one of his biggest flaws. Other than that, he's incredibly quick when he strikes. And the way he can get in on the inside and give you different angles, different looks, different punches. Sometimes he'll lead with the left hook. Sometimes he'll throw the 1-2. He jabs to the body constantly. I mean, he's going to be a difficult guy to figure out. Shout out to Michael Poe again for his contribution to the super chat. He says, "Guess there's still problems at the bank." No. We got the first one. Poe. Shout out to you, man. Thank you. We got it. I think the transaction went through. Shout out to you. And shout out to Boxing Talk Up North for his contribution to the super chat. He says, "Shout out to BDA. Nothing but love over here in Canada. Love the content. Keep it coming." Well, there you go. Another fellow up there in the true north, the way we are. Hopefully he's doing great. And shout out to you, man. Thank you for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Yes, and we're going to be opening the phone line soon, fellas, so stay tuned for that. And like I was saying, I'm looking forward to all the fights this Saturday. Nice, entertaining fights. We're not going to be looking at any back foot bitches. I don't expect, unless maybe Ortiz tries to get cute in there and decides he wants to show us, hey, I got box skills too, man. Like, no. We don't really care if you can back foot bitch it. We do what you've been doing this last couple of fights. Just drop people, knock them out. What else was I going to say here? There was other news that we were going to talk about. Well, I want to talk about this Crawford thing because I was watching Thunderdome yesterday. I know Sobers was watching it as well. He loves the show. And then I was watching... I was watching FU Sports. That's Julio's stream. And he was talking about this too. And yeah, Terence Crawford now, it seems that Sheik has decided that he doesn't want the Crawford Canelo fight. And people out there are speculating. They're speculating that maybe it's Canelo who pulled out because, that they pulled out because Canelo was asking for too much money. Because again, when Canelo says he wants a figure, and people don't really seem to understand that he's kidding around, they take him at face value. Here's something I tell people. If he's not asking for that money officially in negotiations, then it's not a real number. But people believe it. So some people are speculating that Canelo asked for too much. Then the Crawford fans are saying that Canelo is afraid of Crawford, even though Crawford looked human against Madrimov, just like most of us expected. Then there's other people saying, the Canelo fans are saying that Bohachuk looked scared after when they asked him about Canelo, and that Crawford too, when he answered questions about Canelo after the fight, he didn't sound as confident as he used to before. Sort of like they're realizing now that they probably can't beat Saul Canelo Alvarez. So they're all over the place. They're all over the place, and people are still talking about that. And I concur with Recognize and Never Sobers, or I think it was Recognize rather, who said Crawford probably pulled it out, but it was very, very close. And prior to the fight, I was telling people, hey, Madrimov stuff. And some people were saying, yeah, but he's only got 11 fights. And to a certain degree, they were right. Yeah, it's only 11 fights. People say, yeah, but he had a deep amateur record. Yeah, so that means he can box well for 3 rounds. When you make it to the professional ranks, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be lulls in between the fight, especially with what the adjustments your opponent makes, and then you getting tired and needing to look for your second win. That's something that's very important. That's a very important factor in whether a fighter can succeed in boxing or not. And we didn't know about Madrimov whether he could really do that. And he gave Crawford a very tough fight. Subsequently, and unfortunately, I don't have the tweet with me, but Crawford on Instagram, Crawford posted a photo of Eddie Hearn looking glum after the fight, and Crawford goes, what's wrong, Eddie? Eddie, what happened? And then Eddie Hearn replied, just kiddingly, just in jest, he said, oh, I was just thinking about how a guy with 11 pro fights couldn't miss you with his right hand. And then Crawford replied with a long-ass paragraph about how he's 5-0 against Matchroom. Don't be afraid of greatness when you see... Okay, yes. So Sobers just sent it to me. Shout out to Sobers here. This is what... hold on a second. This is what Crawford replied with. 5-0 against Matchroom. Eddie ain't shit at darts. You better be thanking Turkey for keeping you and those other clowns in business. Turkey only cares about what's best for fighters and fans, not the people who have been destroying the sport. Let the haters hate. Either the fighter loses Either the fighter loses or leaves you. Appreciate greatness, Edward. So, see, that's the same thing that happens on the internet. I've been on the internet for a long time. I know how it works. Whenever you're going back and forth with somebody, and if you sting them with a one-liner, and they come at you with a paragraph, that usually means you got to them. And Crawford, I mean, first of all, Crawford trying to get personal there, saying that he's a clown. Eddie Hearn's a clown, even though he's probably the most successful at this point, by a little bit maybe, promoter in boxing, who's been able to mastermind with the turkey these mega cards, whereas Crawford was sitting idly by, getting bamboozled by the PBC. They were able to bamboozle him. There's no doubt about it. They beat him. I mean, the PBC was able to out-politic him in every turn, because this guy thinks he's smarter than what he actually is. He's a great fighter, but when it comes to business and negotiations, he doesn't know shit. Then he goes, the people that have been destroying the sport, meaning Eddie Hearn's been destroying the sport, like Eddie Hearn hasn't been destroying the sport. And then he goes with the old thing they're going, haters. I mean, he's the one that struck at Eddie Hearn first. And then Eddie Hearn replies, and this guy starts going at him with this long-ass paragraph. I mean,
what happens when what happens when everybody's a hater?
Exactly. Recognize there's an old saying. There's an old saying that says, if you went throughout the day and you met an asshole, you met an asshole. If everyone that you met was an asshole to you, you're the asshole. It's the same thing with Crawford. He doesn't seem to get it.
Like that girl saying there's no good men out there. What happens when every man you meet leaves you? What's going on there? What happens?
Exactly. And Terrence Crawford just sounds, I don't know, envious. Or he's like Clarissa Shields. He can't take criticism, which is weird for, just do your own thing. You won the fight. I mean, it was a close fight.
You want a close fight. You want a close fight. You want to fight against a guy that maybe the boxing world didn't understand. It's good enough to be in that position to give you a good fight. You know,
maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't feel like he won. Recognize?
Oh,
maybe deep down inside, Crawford, good old buddy boy, doesn't feel that confident that he won the fight.
Yeah, and let me tell you, man, if there was that many haters out there, especially in the media, because he thinks people hate on him, even in the media. If the media members overall really hated him, believe me, they would have brought up the glove issue, and they wouldn't stop talking about it. As far as it goes, after that occurred, after that transpired, the thing with the gloves, no one in the mainstream media has asked how come this guy in 2 out of his 3 fights, his last 3 fights, the gloves ripped. That is something that is highly
I find that to be so fucking odd, man. That's just, I don't know. Maybe there's an explanation to it. I'm not saying that there isn't. It's just weird, man. Weird shit.
Well, there's a saying for that too. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly. Because the implications behind that is like, it's not a good look, right? It's like, this is not ordinary, and we're in on it. So I don't know.
Can I say one thing though about that whole little message and stuff?
Yeah.
I remember Crawford used to be called a coon and stuff because he was working with Bob Arum, and I really didn't see it. I'm like, I don't know what he didn't really do anything weird, but I wonder how much Turkey's paying him, because he's kind of on his hands and knees for him, tagging him and saying he only cares about the fights and the fans. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was unnecessary, and like, what the fuck was that about? Like,
when you hear a guy like Crawford talk like this, that's a sign that the paychecks are looking nice.
Yeah. That's right. Apparently that's the he got guaranteed $2 million for some sort of bonus or something. So he's making more than $2 million.
Right. There's always like these little back end, shit that's what they really look forward to, I guess. Right. It's like the bonus, right? The bonuses. If you do this, if you do that, or we sell this amount, you get X amount.
I think there might have been something like that there. Yeah, but Crawford's, listen, he doesn't seem to be able to understand the fact that anybody can say anything on the internet. It's up to him how he reacts to it. And again, he's the guy that went at Eddie Hearn first. And then Eddie Hearn, and Sobers made this great point on the Discord, is Hearn is from the British Isles. He's from the UK. They got a very dry wit over there. It's based around sarcasm and irony. That's their sense of humor generally over there. And that's how he was replying. You can tell that Eddie Hearn, there was nothing malicious about it. He was just playing around. And then Crawford turned nasty. And you're thinking, this is the same guy that turned around on Top Rank after everything they did for him and called them racist. And ended up suing them, which, by the way, what happened to that lawsuit, by the way? Nothing seems to have come from it. And same thing with Shakur Stevenson, who coincidentally is friends, or maybe more than friends, the way he's acting around Crawford, with Crawford. So it seems like birds of a feather flock together. Here's the other thing, though.
Yeah.
Again, people keep saying that I mentioned, and I don't pay too much attention to them, but for the people out there that really think Canelo is afraid of Crawford, let's not forget that Madrimov feinted him a lot. And people, those same fans of Crawford are saying, yeah, but Canelo doesn't throw feint. That's what Canelo does. That's what he's famous for. Head movement, meaning he's hard to hit, and the fact that he throws feints all the time. Throws you off for a loop. And then on top of that, he hits harder than Madrimov. So I don't understand this argument of, well, Madrimov is better than Canelo. No, he's not. He's not, man. And just for
come on, man. That's just stupid.
But just to
even if he was, let's just say he was pound for pound wise. Let's say pound for pound wise, he was a better fighter than Canelo, right? You think he'll beat Canelo if he went up to 168?
Yeah, and listen. We're all speculating at the end of the day. We don't know if Crawford, anything can happen in boxing. But even Crawford, you can tell in his tone, and you could tell the way, what Bohachuk was saying too about, well, we might have to switch it up now the way we fight Canelo. They know it's a pipe dream. The real reason they wanted the fight was for the money. It's a win-win situation for them. Even if they lose, they still get paid a lot, and if they pull it off, I mean, it's an immense accomplishment. But it was always a pipe dream. And I just wanted to illustrate what I meant by that about the feints, because somebody made this video on Twitter. And he's got a watermark on it, so you'll know who it is. Boss sanctioned. This is what what's his name? Crawford had to say about the feints. Listen how he contradicts himself within about 5 minutes. All right.
It was strong.
How unusual was the movements, the constant fainting Madrimov did?
So that's Steve Kim asking him, or it sounds like Steve Kim. He's asking him essentially whether the feints bothered him at all. All right.
It wasn't like disrupting me or anything. It was his patience. He was just patient. He was just waiting. He'll feint.
So let's listen to the answer, all right? Just
it was strong.
How unusual was the movements, the constant fainting Madrimov did?
It wasn't like disrupting me or anything. It was his patience. He was just patient. He was just waiting. He'll feint.
So that he says the feints weren't disrupting me. And then listen to this.
2 seconds later.
He had a good game plan. He had a lot of feints, and I was just trying to dictate when he was going to come. A lot of times I was wrong.
So he says, I was trying to dictate when he would come, and a lot of times he wouldn't be there. Meaning the feints worked. That's what feinting is, when you pretend you're going to go in and then you don't, and you're not there as a target. So
look, boxers are not... We don't judge them on their vocabulary, their consistency to stay coherent, right? Like in that one, he sounded very incoherent. But I think his first answer was right. It's like, okay, look, yeah, when you box as long as I have, you've seen feints all the time. Sometimes it's the guy's patience behind that. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, I agree with that. Right, because if you spar BDA, like if you ever been in there with a guy who's actually, let's say he's not fainting, but he's patient, that could be frustrating, right? Just him being patient alone.
I've seen it and done it. I've had guys that throw guys that throw feints at me, and then before I know it, I'm getting hit with an overhand right. And I've done it to other people, and they tell. Somebody once came up and told me that. He says, "Man, I didn't know where the punches were coming from." And I said, well, feint. That's the name of the game, my guy. And that's what it is, man. And the reason why I put that up is because you're right, recognize. I mean, we don't judge boxers based on their oratory skills, their verbal skills. I mean, he contradicted himself. But what I was trying to illustrate was, more than anything, is that the feints did bother him. And Canelo, although I will say he might not be as quick as Madrimov, because Madrimov is a lighter fighter, he nevertheless has just as good a punch selection, if not superior, to Madrimov. He can do what Madrimov did. He can throw the straight right hand as good as anyone. He can lead with the left uppercut, just like Madrimov was doing to Crawford. He can lead with the left hook that was getting behind Crawford's guard, just like Madrimov was doing. Also, some people say that the counter argument is, yeah, but Madrimov was more herky-jerky, quicker on his feet. But Canelo's not going to have to be quick on his feet because he's got superior head movement to Madrimov. And he's stronger on top of that. So his guard is going to be superior too, or it stands to be superior. And then on top of that, he hits harder. He's a superior body puncher, whereas Madrimov couldn't get on the inside against Crawford because he respected his power. You have to assume Canelo's not going to respect it as much. And then on top of that, the Crawford skills, people say, yeah, but Crawford's like Mayweather. He's going to outbox Canelo. Like we said, Mayweather's defense was based on rolling with the shots, and Canelo only really throws two, at that time was throwing 3-punch combinations, and then he would have to reset and not throw anything for another 15, 20 seconds. Crawford is not that guy. Crawford's going to be moving around the ring. He's not going to be rolling with the shots. He's not going to be moving the head. He's going to be there to be hit, either to the body and to the head. At some point, he's going to get slowed down, and that's the tricky part. Is he going to be able, if he gets cornered in the ropes, is he going to be able to block everything? Because he's not going to be rolling with the shot.
That's a perfect breakdown, BDA. That's how I see the fight.
I know it's a perfect breakdown. I'm kidding.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't even. Go ahead. BDA doesn't like praises. Out of nowhere, he gets upset with that. Hey, I know, asshole. I know. This is what I do.
No, but what are you going to say about the?
Okay. So it goes down to like the one thing about Canelo, like you were just saying. He's got good head movement, right? He kind of like always puts himself in position to be right there. He's like walking towards you, and next thing you know, he's right there on you to land some digging shots, like a calculated pressure fighter. What's Crawford gonna do to offset that? What's he gonna do for 12 rounds? He's gonna be heavier. He's gonna be older. Come on, man. It's just a little bit of common sense, man. I'm not saying it's not possible, Canelo has been beaten. Yes, I get it. But it's like the guy's been fighting at 168 pounds, fighting dudes a lot bigger than him, guys that I don't think Crawford would beat. Okay, so let's just put it. Let's go to the guys who actually lost to Canelo, and then ask yourself: do you think Crawford would beat those guys?
Oh, I mean, that's
and how confident. How confident are you that he would beat those guys?
Because look,
at 168, at 168 pounds.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
Recognize, that's an excellent point. Recognize is not saying that's why he picks Canelo. It's like, well, the guys that beat Canelo, that Canelo beat would beat Crawford. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, we're talking about whether Crawford can compete at 168, because the issue here is whether he can beat Canelo. So before we start asking, can he beat Canelo? Let's at least just start and say, well, can he even compete with the dude, or in the division rather? And that's the thing, though. Could Crawford beat, say, Caleb Plant? Could he beat?
Would he beat Caleb Plant? Would he beat Jaime Munguia? Can he beat those guys?
Could he beat an old Golovkin from the 2022 fight? I don't think so, man.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. I don't know if you could beat that Golovkin. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Golovkin would have been snapping that jab in his face and then hitting him with a shot that he does. Like, Spence hit him with overhand shots. Madrimov hit him with overhand shots. Golovkin hits him with that shot, he's going down, man. And like I said, the other problem with Crawford is...
Let's go to the last fight of Canelo and Triple G, right? Canelo's winning most of the fight. Did you see that one little rally he had? It was in the middle. It's like I want to say the was it like somewhere around round 10, maybe round 9?
Yeah,
he hits Canelo with a hard shot. Okay, we see Canelo was able to take that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can Crawford take that? Are we sure Crawford could take that?
Yeah, and I have to emphasize that I'm not saying that one punch that I'm banking on with these guys to hit him once and he goes down and that's it. That's why I'm picking. No, but I'm saying is those guys are going to wear him down. They're going to.
Yes.
And if they don't wear him down, he's going to be so much on the defensive that he's just going to get outworked. Sort of like Canelo did to Charlo. And that's the thing. People say, yeah, but Crawford's better than Charlo. Charlo had a couple of things going for him that Crawford's not going to have. Charlo was much taller than Canelo. And he was just running around the ring. And even when he can crack, maybe he lacks the velocity of Crawford's shots. but he hits just as hard as Crawford. Look at some, Charlo, that's one of the reasons why he was successful, because even though he would lose rounds, eventually he'd knock guys out. Canelo ate his shots and just walked out. He ate them like they were nothing. This dude has a tungsten chin. So if Crawford's going to win, he's going to have to outbox him. And he's not that superior a boxer to Canelo. Again, people have overrated his skills. Put it to you this way. If he really was that master boxer that people make him out to be, he would have schooled Madrimov, a guy with 11 professional fights. Couldn't do it, could he?
Yeah.
And I understand that Madrimov had, they kept saying he had close to 300 professional fights. This is, amateur fights. This is the professional ranks. You can tire a guy out after 3 rounds if he's not used to, the ebbs and flows of the fight and all that. You're supposed to be making adjustments. He couldn't do that. And by the way, you're telling me this master boxer in Terence Crawford couldn't get away from 3 straight right hands. FUTV was showing that clip. I forget which round it is. I think maybe it's in the official DAZN highlights. I think it was in the 6th round. He's standing in front of Madrimov. He eats a right hand. He puts his guard up. The punch breaks the guard. Again, he stands there, eats another right hand, and then he stuck his tongue out and finally retreated. And I'm thinking, man, those right hands from Canelo can land those right hands. And then on top of that, he's going to follow with a left hook to the body, left hook upstairs. He's going to be leading with those different types of punches. I'm really aghast and amazed that people think Canelo's afraid of this dude. But again, that's the internet for you. It is what it is. And both sides can be annoying. Don't get me wrong. Canelo fans can be annoying as well. Highly annoying. But this whole Crawford-Canelo thing was predicated on how good Crawford looking in Spence. Because again, people overrated Spence. They thought he was this killer, pound-for-pound level guy. He might have been at one point, but he was also an inactive drunk with an eye injury and potential cognitive disabilities. So it is what it is. Fellas, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open in case anybody wants to call in, give us their thoughts on anything and everything boxing. I'll put up the number. That's not the number. Hold on a second. There we go. That's the number right there. Make sure to call in, give us your thoughts on this Saturday's fights. If you still want to talk about last Saturday's fights, everything going on in boxing, let us know. I also had to bring up this tidbit here from, hold on a second. Shout out to M.AW for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, hold on a second. I will be buying Canelo versus Bud if made, but I prefer Bud chased at 3-time undisputed at 154. And I prefer Canelo challenge light heavyweight undisputed, but Benavidez is there to intercept it. Yeah, man, because look, at 168, there's not much for Canelo. Shout out to M.AW, by the way. There's not much for Canelo at 168. And I forgive me for saying this, but a fight against Christian and Billy doesn't really do it for me. Even though and Billy still has to get past Davidachenko, which, by the way, poor Davidachenko, man. This guy's been in there with Charlo, Kolke, Golovkin, Munguia. Who else am I missing? Carlos Adames. This dude's gonna end up retarded at the end of his career, man.
I wonder if there's any other boxer that could survive his schedule.
I mean, talk about that's a war schedule right there. Now he's taking on Mbili, who's gonna... I don't know how that fight's gonna look, by the way. Because I don't think he's ever fought a guy... Because even Munguia sort of like tries to be a long-range guy. He's been trying to in his last couple of fights. He's not really an inside fighter. And Mbili is an inside fighter. And so is Davidachenko. So I don't know how this... I don't know how it's gonna look other than a slugfest in there.
Yeah, I think expect that. It's going to be a slugfest.
I think what Davidachenko is going to try to do is he's going to try to move around the ring. He's going to fight guerrilla warfare. He's going to move, and then he'll catch Mbili in a awkward position, get on the inside, flurry, and then, just keep him turning. Sort of like he was doing to Golovkin. He was doing the same thing to Golovkin. He was moving, then he would just explode.
Are you giving are you slightly picking Davidachenko?
I'm slightly picking Mbili, man, because this dude is, I think he looks, I'd have to see how they look face to face, but I think he's stronger than Davidachenko. He's a natural super middleweight, Mbili is. But you know what I also recognize? You just made me think. Davidachenko's shots on the inside, they are compact. He was beating Triple G up on the inside in some instances.
Yes, he was.
even Charlo, when he would get Charlo on the ropes and he would explode, he would like. What I'm trying to get at is, and Billy shoots wide shots, whereas Davidenko's are nice and compact. He's got the shorter arm, so, I don't know, man.
It's just it could be the true meaning of a Styles nightmare for him, Billy.
You watched. You were there for Davidchenko Triple G, right?
Oh yeah.
Who'd you think won
that was a good ass fight. I thought Triple G won, but it was one of those close fights, man.
Very close, yeah.
Close fights. Yeah. I think the knockdown won it for him. So in other words, I had it even in rounds. Thought they both won about the same amount of rounds.
Yeah, and that was a prime Davidenko. By the way, that Davidenko, I forgot, he also fought Danny Jacobs. So he's fought everybody, this dude. He's
Danny Jacobs before that, before the Canelo Triple G fight.
Yeah, that's also he's fought everybody, well, almost everybody. I don't think he's going to be intimidated.
That's what I'm trying to say. BDA, listen, man. Derevianchenko, I think that if you were to look at his lineup, who the guys he fought, you got to ask yourself a serious question: could every top fighter today survive that schedule? That same schedule that he went through back to back to back to back. I'm not saying they wouldn't. I'm just saying, would it be that easy for them? How many losses would they have, in their resume?
Yeah, that's a good question. By the way, I need Seaman. He's saying Jacobs fought him after Triple G. You're wrong. No, he says Davidenko fought Jacobs before he fought Golovkin. That's what I
said.
Yeah.
That's what I said, you jerk off. That's what I said. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
All right. Yeah, man, that's going to be a tough fight for poor Davidenko, man.
Hey, whoever said that to me, you're a crumb bum.
Oh.
You're a bum crumb.
Crumb bum. A no, what do they call it? Flim flam. That just came out of the woodwork. Flim flam, they just came out of the woodwork, yeah. By the way, let's go to the phone lines here. The phone lines are open. We got a couple of calls coming in. And then we're going to get back to some of this. So I want to talk about Toefimo Lopez too, by the way. But don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. Let's go to the first phone call of the night, or the evening, rather. Let's go to 309. 309, you're on the air. 309, what's on your mind?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. What's up?
Hold up. I got to be honest. Man, you got to do a recap on August 3rd. I ain't gonna lie. I called here not too long before that fight happened, man. I'm a little sad Jared got knocked out. I heard he was, like, disrespecting some fighters, and that's what happened. And he ain't taking it serious. I ain't gonna lie. The heavyweight moved the division, so I got to tap into that fight. I think, dude, he should have boxed more. I know this is off topic, but Jared Anderson, He didn't have no IQ in there. He just got his ass beat. He didn't know how to handle that big man. If you watched the Michael Hunter fight, he would have got him. And another thing with Crawford started believing everything that everybody was telling him, and he wasn't honest with himself. This is what happens when you believe in yourself and you're not being honest about yourself. Because everybody be hyping him up. You feel me? He ain't a hype job, but he ain't honest with himself when he needs to make adjustments. Like, dude wasn't moving his head. He stood at southpaw too long. And just little things like that kind of got him a little too touched up. Because, I mean, come on, Crawford. You can make certain adjustments. And he thinks that he can just take one fight a year and he going to be good. Just little stuff like that. He ain't honest with himself. So this is the product of, doing things a little bit, not how you should. You're just doing it because you feel like it. So this is what happens. Even though the politics did get him, he can push forward to get certain fights out. It's just, I think this is a wake-up call for him. You just can't sit on your hands, do media, say you the best, and not put in the work. You know what I'm saying? Just like if he's thinking about beating Canelo, he got to stay active and be honest with himself. Go back to the drawing board and continue to, progress in your skills. You just can't believe in what everybody tell you and just think you good. Like, I see that he think his power can bail him out, but he just needs to work on little things and adjustments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you just can't do that.
Excellent point about Terence Crawford not moving his head. Yeah, that's a lot of people think that he's got a superior head movement and rolling with the shots. He can roll with the shots. I've seen him do it before, but he's no Mayweather. That's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of people thought he would beat Canelo. Now, in regards to what you said about Jared Anderson, there's no shame in losing to a guy like Bakoli, but like you said, he looked inept in there. He was backing straight up, leaning back against a taller guy with longer reach, and I'm thinking, man, this dude just never learned. He got away with that with the bumps he was, not bumps, but some of the guys he was fighting at the ESPN, and you're thinking, well, there you go. That's what happens when you step up against a real guy after feasting on B-level opposition. Yeah. Who do you think beats Bakoli?
Yeah, but you did. Bakoli, who beats him? Michael Hunter. That's probably who got his number. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that dude's a tough motherfucker, bro. Styles makes fights, and I think he's like a bad matchup for a couple people. Like if AJ got in there with him, he has the potential to knock out AJ. Let's keep it a stat. Like he can fuck up a lot of people's night. Maybe Usyk can beat him because of the footwork. But if you just standing there banging with him, he's gonna beat you, bro. It seems like he's gonna beat you.
He really does, huh? Yeah, dangerous guy. Anything else you want to say, Colin?
Yeah, but I will. Yeah. Sergey Bohachuk for the upset. I like Sergey Bohachuk because he beat Brian Mendoza, right? Brian Mendoza was my man because he beat what's that dude's name? The big, tall, lanky dude. I forgot his name. Fundora. You know the big, tall dude that beat Tim Duke.
Fundora.
Yeah, Fundora. He's Sebastian Fundora. Yeah. So Sergey Bohachuk, he beat Brian Mendoza, beat him. So, I like Sergey Bohachuk because he beat Mendoza. Mendoza's a tough cat. So, I'm riding with Bohachuk. And I just think Vergil Ortiz first fight going at a 154-pounder, he ain't going to win. I just think that he ain't ready for that war. I mean, I'm probably the only nigga that thinks that, but Sergey Bohachuk ain't that bad. He learns from his mistakes. Even though he lost to Brian Adams, I just think that his defense is a little more tighter. And he's going to be getting off more shots because that fight ain't going to make the distance. That ain't making the distance.
I agree. And you know what? You make a good point, though. It's not far-fetched at all that maybe because Vergil Ortiz he's never gone 12 rounds, never gone 10 rounds, never gone 6. He's beaten everybody by stoppage. So he's coming back after a layoff. He's only fought about 3 minutes total in this year. And this dude, Bohachuk.
And there were tomato cans. Let's keep it a stat. There were tomato cans. Yeah. He fought. That dude that's been getting tossed around like a hoe. What's that dude name? Not the Frederick Watson dude. The other dude. He getting tossed around like a hoe.
Yeah, Delorme. Yeah, so it's
the dude he just fought. Yeah, Delorme. Delorme. Like, come on now, fam. He ain't ready for Bohachuk. Bohachuk ready for war. Man, he ready for war, and I just think he's gonna get the upset. But the thing is, bro, they're going to rob him if he doesn't get a stoppage. You know this. Boy. They're going to rob him. That's a Golden Boy card.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm excited for it. Anyway, listen, man, we got to move on. But thank you for your call, and call back next time, right?
All right, man.
Peace. Take it easy out there. Yeah, good call, man. Yeah, I'm excited for this fight. I got to tell you. And then on top that ESPN one, too, is good. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 469. 469, you're on the air. 469, what's on your mind?
It's been a bad month in boxing for you Pedros.
What do you mean?
Lomachenko ducked. Pitbull got his ass kicked. Y'all been spending the last 3 fucking shows talking about an imaginary fight between Canelo and
Hold on. Wait. Pump the brakes, bro. Lomachenko is not a Pedro.
Yeah, he's not a Pedro.
And Pitbull was beaten by another Mexican.
Yeah, he was beaten by another Pedro. So,
look at you getting sensitive. Look at you crying. I'm a duck, nigga.
Yeah, I'm crying.
Pitbull got his ass kicked.
Don't give a fuck.
Pitbull got his ass kicked.
Yeah, Lomachenko is a classic Mexican name.
You know that guy who beat Pitbull is the same guy who slept Colbert last year.
Y'all want that Pitbull Tank rematch?
That Lomachenko name is really a classic Mexican name. You sound very educated by that. And then of course Rayo Valenzuela is a Mexican. He's the guy that beat Isaac Cruz. So I don't know. It seems like that's a win-win either way for Mexicans right there. So you need to get back, crack open the books, educate yourself, and then you can call back. All right, man? Take it easy out there. All right, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Don't forget to call in. This is your show. Well, this is your part of the show where you get to call in, give us your opinion. We got 2 fantastic fights this Saturday. Make sure to call in. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 410. 410, you're on the air. 410, what's on your mind?
Where's the big bird? What's up, guys?
Oh, what's up, Jerry?
It's Jerry. What's up, buddy?
All right.
Let me tell you the difference between Bud Crawford and, say, a Shakur Stevenson. People say Bud gets hit. I've heard people say he gets hit a lot. Nah, that's an overstatement. He doesn't get hit a lot, but he gets hit, and God bless him for it, because I'm tired of motherfuckers thinking the way you win a prize fight is by not getting hit. The objective is to first hit, to land clean, effective punches. That's the first objective, and the difference is when Madrimov finally would close the distance off of that foot feint, Crawford would get hit, but he easily could have ran off to the side or grabbed. But Crawford's mentality is, all right, he's closing the distance. I'm going to see what I can sneak in while he's doing it. This is the type of fighter I can get behind. You see what I mean? I can't fault Bud Crawford because he takes some punches. It's a prize fight. You're going to get hit. If not, you're sticking the joint out. That's basically the reality of that. I have to say, I was more impressed with Bud Crawford in this fight than I was in the Spence fight, because Spence, in my opinion, is shot to pieces. He was shot to pieces in that fight. That's why it was so easy for Bud Crawford. And I'm not trying to discredit Bud Crawford for that win. I'm just saying, I've watched Spence's whole career. If nothing else, he's always been durable, never knocked down. He's being put down by a jab. If you noticed in the fight, he turned blood red. Brothers don't typically turn red like that. All the years of the weight training and all the things which are well documented, that was not, Spence is a far better fighter than that, but he's not just done, he's well past done. Plus, he came into that fight on a 17-month layoff on top of all the other shit. So that was a more impressive performance, people would think. But to me, this fight, I was more impressed because his opponent, while lacking in professional experience, was a strong and capable fighter. But I have to say, Madrimov, he came out there like so certain that foot feinting was going to work that that's all he kept doing. He rarely would close the distance. Now, when he did, he would have some success, but he was so reluctant to actually close the distance from the foot feint, because the reality is Bud Crawford never bit on the foot feints. Never. Not in the beginning, not in the middle, not in the end. He just never bit on them. So the whole fight, I'm thinking, dude, after about the 7th round, patience, fucking what's his name was screaming about that. Patience in my ass, dude. You're going to have to do something instead of just standing there foot feinting and occasionally closing the distance. How about a couple head feints? How about you mix in some head feints? Well, finally in the 11th round, Madrimov did head feint, and it was clear to me why he hadn't been doing it. He sucks at it. He looked like Frankenstein, like bowing down. I mean, it was horrible. The head feint. The foot feint really wasn't much better because he kept doing the same thing. He kind of just kept stomping forward. Those feints are intended to look like you're really about to bring something, and it didn't really look. It looked like to a novice, you might think, okay, but no, it wasn't working. But Crawford wasn't biting on it. In the end, I had the fight very close. I thought Crawford nicked it, just barely. And if you go by the old boxing adage that you got to take the belt from the champion, I'd say no. He didn't really do enough in that regard. I don't go by that adage. I think that's bullshit. If you win, you win. Very close fight. I don't expect there to be a rematch. There's no money on Madrimov. When he interviewed the Sheik, he didn't talk about his plans for Madrimov. He talked about his plans for Bud Crawford. So Madrimov was going to need a knockout to win a decision in this fight. And I have to say, Madrimov's a very strong guy, and he probably can beat a lot of guys, but and you have to consider too, Crawford fought cautiously. There's certainly a lot of truth to that, but that's his 4th weight division. Madrimov's in his 1st weight division, so that has to be considered. He was the naturally bigger guy, and he's very strong, and you can see that. If Madrimov, I wish he would have just been more aggressive. I think that would have played out better for him than what they keep calling patience. Because patience and footwork, if you got good footwork, but it doesn't add up the punches landed, then how good is it?
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I will say this though, that Crawford admitted that the feints got to him. But I do agree that.
Well, I listened to I listened to the post fight, and he said what I heard was no, they weren't disruptive, and I don't think they were disruptive either. They just didn't work. You could see that they weren't working, and that's why Madrimov wasn't closing the distance, because that's the point of those foot feints, right? It's to get the guy out of position so you can close the distance and capitalize, but it just wasn't working. A couple of times he did close the distance, and he got a few punches off because Crawford didn't run or try to grab him, and okay, fine. But you know what? More of that, bro. You should have known coming in that the spotlight isn't on you. Even though you're the champion, the money's not on you, bro. You're going to have to do, you're probably going to have to do a little more.
Well, at the end of the day... Yeah, at the end of the day, it was a very close fight, like you said. The guy's only got 11 fights, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can improve from there. That's going to be very interesting right there. Anything else?
It is, and I think a lesser fighters he would beat probably if he's more physical, because I watched some of his fights prior, and he always was a lot more physical. But in this fight, he just seemed to be convinced that foot feinting was going to work, and I just don't see where it was working. And by the time he seemed to realize it was not theoretically too late if he would have poured it on a little bit more. I don't know, man. I kind of come away feeling like it was a draw, probably. If boxing was really fair, maybe you'd call it a draw. If you told me you thought Madrimov won, I wouldn't push back on it too hard. Because with a chess match like this, there's so little meat on the bone that no matter what round you pick and what guy you thought won it, you could probably make an argument. It was like the whole fight was like a swing round almost, So there's so little meat on the bone. And with boxing, judging boxing being as subjective as it is, it's very tough to say who won. Really probably should have been a draw, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was one of those fights, very, very close. I'd have to rewatch and score, but I don't have the time right now. But shout out to you, Jerry. Thank you for your call, man, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, we got to get to, I want to get to this. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Really helps us out, all right? That's number one. Number two, let's get to our phone call here. The phone lines are open. Make sure to call in. Let's go to 817. 817, you're in the air. 817, what's your mind?
Yo, what's up, BDH? Cesar.
Oh, Cesar, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I just want to talk about the Crawford fight a little bit. I thought that shit was incredibly boring. It was an awful fight. I stopped watching about halfway through. My brother fell asleep. I was watching it with a buddy. He stopped watching. He was on his phone the whole time. That never should have been a main event. It was awful. And again, I don't know how much I'll talk about this because I missed a lot of the last show. I've been watching boxing my whole life. I've never seen a fighter have so many glove issues as Crawford, and it's suspicious. I mean, you guys have been watching longer than I have. Like, how often does that happen that you see a fighter's gloves explode?
I would really have to recall and go back to the memory bank. But in today's, I'll give it to you this way, Cesar. We've been on YouTube for 7 years, so we've covered 7 years worth of fights in the social media era, where almost everything gets reported. I don't recall when's the last time a guy's gloves burst in 2 of his last 3 fights. I'd never seen that before.
The only person that I knew that there was something wrong with his glove.
Tampering with his glove. I'm sorry?
The only person that I knew that there was something wrong with his glove, and he paid the price. He obviously did that on purpose, and that's Luis Resto. And that was right. I don't even think I saw that live. I just heard about it.
It was just I kind of think like what happened with Crawford, he kind of had a wake-up call. I don't know if he knew his gloves were padded or he was padding them, or I don't even know if anything was going with the gloves, but he went from like super confident before this fight to looking scared after the glove thing happened, and then he fought like a whole fight. He was constantly on the back, but nothing. You see, y'all saw the punch stats. These dudes hardly landed on each other. The whole thing was just like 2 dogs barking at each other from the other side of the fence. That's all it was. It was like he fought scared. You know what I'm saying? Then he was talking about, man, Canelo this, Canelo that, all his buddies, all the Spence guys who jumped ship, talking about, Crawford's going to whoop Canelo. You notice he got Canelo's dick out of his mouth as soon as the fight was over. His team said it. And again, I wanted to say too, earlier, Recognize was talking about, the good paychecks he must be getting from Turkey. The way he's like, Turkey's only interested in the good fights. I think what's actually going on here, right, is Crawford has burned every bridge, right? He fucking burned the bridge with the Jew on ESPN.
Oh, wait a minute.
He's talking all this shit to Eddie Hearn, right? Okay. So all he's got left is Turkey al-Sheikh, right, who was talking about making a Canelo fight for this dude, and then he watched and heard, I'm sure in awe, as Crawford, the American, got booed in his own country fighting a fucking Eastern European. You think that dude wants to make a fight for this guy now? He told him Canelo fights off. I mean, nobody's watching. The Crawford, he doesn't really have that much fans. Most of it right now is Canelo haters and black dudes, you know what I'm saying, who jump ship with Spence, I think this guy's trying to. I think what's going on is that he's not getting paid that much by Turkey. He's trying to suck up to him so he can get paid. But I think he's done.
Apparently, he did get paid.
I mean, I don't know who's he going to fight.
Well, apparently he did get paid well this past Saturday, but I think the issue
here
is
I'm sure he did, but I think he's sucking up. I think he wants. He's like, Turkey, please.
Your point still stands. Your point still stands. He wants to keep getting paid well because, like you said, I mean, Bob Arum said he's open to working with him again, which I don't know why he would. The guy's not an attraction. And then on top of that, he kicked you in the balls after everything you did for him. So I don't know why he would. Eddie Hearn probably would because he's a bit of a weasel too, even though he's getting into it with Crawford now verbally. But if it makes money, there's never been a like what Repet used to say. There's never been a shirtless black man that Eddie Hearn didn't want to sign. So he would probably want to sign Crawford right away. So he might have options. But you're right, though. He's a very noxious, caustic personality. Truculent as well, it seems. And you're right. Maybe he's pissed off a couple of people in his boxing journey. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah. It's very weird. I'm trying to think if there's any other points I wanted to make. I don't know. He looked like he was getting hurt a lot in that fight. I know, like, some people keep posting, like, in round 11, him, like, landing an uppercut towards the end of the round on the Eastern European dude, Madrimov. It was crazy. It's like, look, he was hurt Madrimov, and then right at the end of the round, in that same clip they keep posting, Madrimov hits this dude with a nasty overhand, and Crawford's fucking holding him. He gets hit, and then he immediately fucking clinches.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, even in these clips they're posting of Crawford fucking hurting this dude, he's getting cracked too. So what's he gonna do what's he gonna do when he fights a guy who's got more experience, man? It's just another thing with these Eastern European fighters is they're incredibly fucking arrogant the way they fight. I don't know, like, what it is. Like, Lomachenko's the same way, and I love Lomachenko, but the way these dudes act in the ring, they think they're going to get a fair shake. I guess they don't know how things work in America. Like, you got to knock out a black dude to get a draw, right? These dudes are fighting black guys like Lomachenko was fighting Haney, Madrimov was fighting fucking Crawford. You gotta like put it on these guys to get to even like win around, right? And all this fucking foot feigning that they're doing, all this fucking trying to like look like in the Matrix, acting sweet. You can't do that shit against fucking FBAs, bro, because they're just gonna give it to him, dude.
Well, there you go, man. Yeah, I mean,
that's all he did. He was just fucking foot feinting the whole time. Like, he wasn't throwing, man. That shit was boring, dude. That was a boring ass fight, dude.
They need to give
he was
their
getting booed in his own country. People were leaving, bro. Nobody's gonna show up to watch this guy fight. Fucking who else is at 154?
They need to give their heads a shake. That's what they need to do. Well, listen, Shazar, you brought the fire as always, man. Thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man?
Yeah, keep it up, guys. I'll see you next one.
Thank you, man. Take it easy. I just want to say about the gloves. Again, I'm not saying, because that's what Shazar said. He said he thinks there was some glove tampering. I don't know. I don't have any proof. I don't have any evidence to say that there is evidence, if you want to construe it that way, that maybe somebody tampered with the gloves. Because again, it's highly unusual that in 2 out of 3 fights, somebody's opening up something there in the glove where it's possible that you could extract some of the padding. I'm not saying that that's what happened. That's what other people are saying. All I'm saying is it's highly suspicious that in 2 out of his 3 last fights, that's happened with 2 different brands of gloves, and that very few people are talking about it. Like, when Inoue made a little comment on Twitter about, wow, these guys really want my blood, with the PED testing. people took that. Mainstream media people took that and extrapolated in that as in highly suspect, highly weird. But this isn't highly weird. This is even weirder than that, than a throwaway comment from Eno. So I don't understand. So these media members, you can tell. That's when Crawford says, "Oh, it's me against the world." No, it's not, buddy. You got a whole media machine behind you that wants you to succeed as the number one pound for pound guy. They want an American, it would seem, on top of the pound for pound list. So I don't understand why this guy's making himself to be little orphan Annie, like everyone's against him. No, you're not, man. You got the machine behind you. Trust me.
What is it called? Champagne revolutionist?
Communist. Champagne communist, yeah.
Yeah. That's what a lot of these dudes are.
I mean, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these guys got the laptop with the Che Guevara sticker on them. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 713. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
About Crawford's fight. Man, he disappointed me. I really thought he's fight convincingly. He fought it's like he lost his ability to punch in combinations too. He did a lot of pot shotting, and he figured out Crawford real late in the fight. But as far as Crawford beating Canelo, he doesn't have a chance now. Canelo might even beat him before the 6th round. At least Canelo throw with combinations at his weight at 168. I want to say Robert Garcia might go down as one of the best trainers of this era, possibly number one with his work with Rayo. And man, it's a shame Gerald lost the way he did, and Reese, he's on his way down, man. That's my take on it.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, man. Well, I enjoy your show, man. Thanks for having me on your show, man, and God bless.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Bye. Take it easy, man. Yeah, it's a nice and concise and succinct call right there, man. Yeah, Ruiz looked awful, man. And then he blamed it on the hand. By the way, he put up the hand, a photo of the hand, and he looks, look, it's swollen. That just looks like an ordinary fat hand to me, from a fatso. Like, well, what am I looking at here? I don't know. It was bizarre. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 925. 925, you're on the air. 925, what's on your mind?
Puerto Rico, puñeta. Puerto Rico. Yeah, I just finished watching that press conference, man, and Berlanga's he's going to sleep. I say 9th round, bro. Canelo's top dog. Canelo's top dog, and he's definitely going to put it up for Mexico. He's going to get that knockout, and we're going to be listening to Vicente Fernandez and at the Palma that night. We're not going to be listening to Bad Bunny, you know, eating tacos.
Yeah, man. Hey, let me ask you, caller. What did you make of the press conference and some of the theatrics that Canelo and Berlanga were doing there, going back and forth?
They're just trying to sell the fight. You know what I mean? They're just doing that. That's all it is. It was definitely entertaining than yesterday's press conference. But I like what they're doing. You know, going back and forth. It makes it entertaining. You know, the fans want to see that. I know I definitely get pumped when I see that shit talking back and forth.
You get
so
pumped,
getting us pumped up for the fight. You know,
you're getting pumped. Huh? You know who else is talking about pumps? Berlanga. Did you see that? Look, I'm going to invite you to look at the screen. This is what was going on in the press conference today. A lot of pumping going on. Check this out. I mean, what would you make of that?
Oh, no. I think Caleb Plant got to get after his ass next. Shut him up.
Well, maybe Canelo's going to do that and then damage him forever. I don't know. Are you going to be buying this pay-per-view, by the way? I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always buy my pay-per-views. Actually, that's what I was up to. I feel like whoever streamed the Crawford fight this Saturday, whoever streamed it, they don't pay for none of their fights, bro, because we got an action-packed card that night. And I definitely bought it. Like I said, I pay for all my pay-per-views, but whoever streams it streams all their fights, bro, and that's fucked up. You guys got to buy, especially by the big cards. I mean, like Crawford fight, Canelo Saturday. Stop hating, bro. If you love boxing, it's action-packed. You got Rolly, you got Plant, you got Lara, Danny Garcia. It's going to be packed, bro. Buy the pay-per-views.
Hey, Rolly's
People
fighting on the
spend
card.
$80 on fucking beer and drugs. Come on, you could pay $80 for some boxing, especially if you're a big fan.
Rolly's fighting on the card? Who's he fighting?
Some Jaime dude. I thought he was fighting Jermaine Ortiz when I first seen it, but it's some Jaime dude. I don't know. I actually don't know exactly who it is, but I know Rolly's on the card.
You're saying Jaime, one of the callers earlier, he's going to confuse him with a Ukrainian or something. He thought Lomachenko was a Jose, so maybe the guy's from Russia or something. I don't know. Listen, I'm going to check that out. I'm going to try to find out who he's fighting on the card. Anything else you want to say, caller, before we move on?
Yeah, and as far as Crawford going up to fighting Canelo, it's surprising how a lot of people are now understanding now that that Crawford doesn't have a chance with Canelo now after seeing that fight on Saturday. And I've been saying that he don't have a chance with Canelo. I mean, come on, he's top dog. He's 168 champion. He can't go up there and take on the champ, bro. So it's just baffling to me to see all these callers now just realizing that he can't mess with Canelo. Come on, bro. He's not Mayweather, that's for sure.
I think anyone has a chance. I think anyone has a chance, but his chance is just narrowed even further than they were before. All right, well, listen, caller, man. Appreciate your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
All right. Take care.
Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 214. 214, you're on the air. 214. What's on your mind?
Yeah, guys. The fight was also it was kind of hard to watch. It wasn't as boring as some other these fights I've seen, but it's not a fight that deserves your full attention. Right. If you're it's a fight that you put on the back in the background while you do something else. That's what I did. I got the feel for the fight, I saw it's one of them type of fights, So, I try to watch it. I don't know if I could ever rewatch it, but, they say Crawford did enough, So I think he kind of did enough, but I think it was a closer fight. Some people are going a little bit exaggerating it a little bit, saying that madrimov lost by 9, Crawford won by 9 rounds. I'm not sure about that. But, yeah, this is Crawford's 4th division, man. People think that he could just keep going up and up and up. It's hilarious. It's hilarious to me, man.
Well, it was the Errol Spence performance. That's what got people all hyped up, that this guy could go up to heavyweight and beat everybody. And, here at BD Boxing, we've seen this type of stuff come and go. We've seen fighters win one fight and then get overhyped. It's nothing new, and it will continue to happen.
Yeah.
So as long as people only remember one performance.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak on Canelo, it's going to be hard. Canelo's in this weird place where he's accomplished a lot, but people, if you want to keep holding on to those belts, people have certain fights that, they want to see. And, Canelo's has these demands that, it's going to be hard to give. Canelo, he's by no means is Canelo can't sell. Canelo can sell, but it's going to be hard to get these fights if you're asking for all these exorbitant prices. It's going to be really hard, and so we're going to have to. His fights are going to be against guys that really no one really cares about. Berlanga is probably one of the last guys that people are really invested in. Maybe Mobili, but after that, it's going to be a real. Because he says he wants to fight all the way to 37. I'm telling you, it's going to be very, very. Not the opponents will no longer have big names.
Yeah, he's going to have to move up to 175.
Yeah, that's it, and the card, it has familiar names, but it's just against nobody good, That's what they do. They line the undercard up with people but the guys they're fighting, they're basically fighting no hopers.
Yeah,
That's what they're doing.
There you go, man.
Yeah, even though we know Caleb Plant and Rolly, those guys are probably fighting no hoper. They keep on doing this with Caleb Plant. They keep fighting these undefeated guys that nobody knows, but they're not dangerous like a Rafael Espinoza. You know, that's a dangerous undefeated guy that nobody knows. But I don't think this Trevor McCumley guy is going to be as dangerous as that.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I checked out because one of the callers said that Rolly is going to be fighting in the card. He's taking a guy by the name of Manuel Jaimes, who's 24 years old, so he might be good. I've never seen him fight before, so I'll check him out. But to your point, Caleb Plant, instead of putting him in there against someone good, they're putting him in there against a complete. And I've seen the guy he's fighting, by the way. Not good. Shouldn't be in that ring against Caleb Plant. Rolly Romero fighting a guy we've never heard of. Danny Garcia, a guy who hasn't fought since 2022, taking on an old-ass Lara who just recently broke his own 2-year layoff. So that's the best the PBC can do compared to what the Sheik is doing. I mean, it's unbelievable, the amount of crap fights that these guys... I'm telling you, man, people didn't want to admit it, but it is what it is. PBC Al Haymon didn't know what he was doing. He had $500 million to work with. Because people say, well, it's because the Turk has all the money in the world. So did Al Haymon. And look at what he did. He ruined it all. He drove his own company to the ground. So it's abhorrent. That card is abhorrent. Sorry about that. I just wanted to get on that rant.
But, you know, well, before I go, I think there's some good fighters. I think Stephen Fulton is coming back. They say Brandon Figueroa is coming back again. I hope that's true, but I don't think he's going to be fighting anybody. They said that he might be the only guy that's actually fighting someone good. He said he might fight Pitbull Diaz, that the Puerto Rican guy that usually fights at super featherweight. But yeah, I don't know. I think Figueroa is just a featherweight, so I don't know if he's going to come down or they're going to do some type of catchweight.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see, man. They were talking about squeezing Stephen Fulton in there as well, like you're right. So I don't know who they'd match him up with. Anyway, listen, caller, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call and call back next time.
All right.
All right, take it easy, man. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. The phone lines are open right now in case you want to call in, give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. I see we got Jimmy here. Jimmy, real quick, man. They're talking about putting in Stephen Fulton in the card. That's another dude that hasn't fought in over a year. So how good they're probably going to match, even if they match him up against someone good. He's coming off more than a year layoff. How good is that fight going to be, man?
All right. Well, first off, I'm just still sorry, guys. I'm still torn about Cruz and fucking losing, you know. So, all right, let me pull it together. Still crying about that. But all right, so
we'll get through it together. We'll get through it together, Jim.
Thank you, brother. I just need a hug.
Well, don't look at me for a hug. But yes, I get.
But anyways, listen, that pay-per-view this Saturday is fucking weapons grade trash. That's fucking garbage. Fulton hasn't fought, by the way. I mean. As bad as you need a win or get back on the horse after a good win because you don't want to become Hercules in your own head like what happened to Crawford reading his own press. And it's funny too because I was, can't stress enough, man. Pretty much everybody in this panel were calling Crawford to not only beat Spence but to knock him out. So by no means are we Crawford haters. You know what I mean? But Mr. BD, remember it was just me and you last week when we were talking. We were saying like a lot of people are underestimating Madrimov because they don't know this kid's name. They don't know who he is, so they're just automatically calling him a fucking no-hoper. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, but they always just forget, like a year out of the ring, he's going up in age. Again, he's going up in weight, where guys are getting hit regularly harder than, you know what I mean? That's a big jump. 147 to 154. I mean, every jump from there is big. So, yeah, I expected it, like we talked about. I expected it to be a tight fight. I thought that Crawford would eventually either get him out of there or kind of like pull away at the end. I rewatched it. And I have nothing other than my opinion on this. I think he aged. I think we watched Crawford become old that night. I'm just being straight up honest.
It's interesting.
There wasn't another gear. The other gear he used to go to, he couldn't go to it.
Yeah, I mean, you've always you always said Crawford was good, but you never went with the Crawford beats Canelo thing, even after he beat Spence. So that whole thing it's just people getting carried away with a guy's recent performance, and also the fact that they overrated Spence a little bit. That's the thing there. So yeah.
exactly. A lot of it, actually. I mean, Spence is just, he is what he is. I mean, I was saying screaming from the mountaintops, like, people don't realize, man, that dude's style is tailor-made for Crawford and the way he moves. You know what I mean? Completely opposite of that, Madrimov kid. Spence comes straight at you, head on the line, long fucking elongated jab that if he misses, his feet are in terrible position. Then you throw in the alcohol and the fucking party favors, forget about it.
Yeah,
that fucking kid was fucking dead man walking. So, no surprise there. But I think Crawford, it was a combination. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he read his own press. I watched it. I'm like, okay, this around the 7th, 8th round. I'm like, these are the rounds you would have saw Crawford turn it up, and he didn't. And I don't think it was because Madrimov was hurting him that bad that he didn't want to go for it. Yeah, listen, you never know. You never know when you always grow old. Not in the sparring. It always happens in a fight. When that second wind and that speed, all of a sudden you realize, holy shit, I can't do it anymore. Just isn't there. Father Time is an undefeated motherfucker, right? Never lost, never will. And it's a finite amount of years you have as a professional fighter, especially at elite level. And I think, and then you mix in this too, which is just human nature. I don't think Crawford took this kid as serious as he did Spence. Obviously, he had 6 years of Spence and his knucklehead fans saying horrific shit online about his wife, just the horrible ducking, you know what I mean, all the garbage was said about him. So he wanted to beat Spence so badly. Like, that was like everything he fucking lived for. You think he went into this fucking camp against that Eastern European kid he had no fucking feelings about whatsoever? No, of course not. And I think he thought he was going to be able to get him out of there. I think combination of age and realize, you're up at 154. These guys take bigger punches. And Crawford was never a one-shot power guy. He had decent power. It was because he hid his punches well. That's how he clipped you out of there. You didn't see them coming. It was usually a combination. He wasn't doing any walk-off knockouts, So, yeah. But that's my fucking thing on that. But again, this card this Saturday night, if this card was happening in my backyard, literally I'd pull the shades down.
Well, it's not happening this Saturday, by the way. It's September something, I believe. We're still a long way to go, but I'm really I'm really deliberating about whether I can, because I have to watch what happens to cover it. But man, I feel like I'm doing it under duress. You know what I mean? It's like the undercard stinks. The main event. The only good thing would be like, okay, if you dislike Berlanga, his big mouth, and you want to see him humbled, maybe that's. But I'm not. I mean, it's going to be $100, right? Something like that. So it's probably going to be $100. So $100 to watch that? I don't know, man.
After tax, 90 something. After tax, $93 or some shit.
Yeah, but here in Canada, it's.
Oh yeah, Canada's even higher.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm thinking hard about it.
It should come with a fucking little packet. Everybody orders that fight. It should come with a little fucking packet of Vaseline.
Exactly. I mean, they should come with some Coke or something to keep you awake, keep you interested. I want to talk about Toefimo Lopez, by the way, because some news came out about it, and I don't know what's true, what's not. We're going to try to get to the bottom of this, but we got a phone call here, so let's get to that, and then we'll get to Toefimo Lopez. 416, you're on the air. 416, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's up, BA? Yo, man. I gotta say, man, the only consolation about hearing about this trash-ass fucking lineup is listening to Jimmy say in his hard Boston accent, garbage. It's garbage. It's almost as good. It's almost as good as hearing the late, great James Gandolfini say, it's trash. It's trash, Christopher. It's trash.
Jesus, you do a good James Gandolfini.
Yeah, man, he does. Hey, can you say with the Gandolfini accent? Can you say it's a difficult situation?
It's a difficult situation.
There you go, a little bit.
Christopher, it's trash. Sika, it's trash. So yeah, it's in the same light. They hear Jimmy saying his hardcore Boston accent. It's garbage. That's the consolation for me. I agree. BDA, give me the coke. I'll take it. I'll stay up for the fucking fight. And on that note, but other than that, it's a fucking sleeper.
Yeah.
This coming weekend though, Bohachuk versus who is it? Ortiz.
Yeah.
That's a good fight. That's a good fight.
You're telling me.
So, well, I mean, you know, we as boxing enthusiasts, we know what to see, what we're looking at, right? But when some of these guys trying to sell us shit, trash, and put it on a Ritz cracker or a Premium Plus and call it fucking a canapé, I don't know. I don't think so.
You're absolutely right. And I think my expectation is if the Munguia-Canelo fight didn't sell that well, and that was at least seen more competitive than this one, and I really doubt that this is going to be successful on the pay-per-view front. Maybe it will do well at the gate because it's Canelo, but in terms of pay-per-view buys, I don't think so. All right. Anything else you want to say, Cole, before we move on?
On that level, for at least Munguia is a better fighter than Berlanga. You hear what I'm saying?
I hear you. And I agree, man, yeah.
Well, stop eating that garbage.
There you
go. Stop
eating
eating that garbage, Jimmy.
All right, man. Thank you for your call, man. Take it easy out there. All right, that was a good call right there. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. I gotta take a little bit of a latrine break, but we're almost done here at the show. But before I do, I want to talk about a little bit about Toefimo Lopez. Dan Rayfield, I think it was Dan Rayfield, just recently reported, allegedly, Toefimo Lopez just refused a fight against, what am I forgetting his name? That dude that just beat Santillan. What's his name again? Edmund?
Brian Norman Jr.
Brian Norman Jr., thank you. Apparently, he says Toefimo Lopez just rejected a fight against Brian Norman Jr. for later this year because it's going to be on a Friday and on a Saturday. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll be listening to your answers, guy, on my phone here, but I'll be right back. You guys take over, please. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about that.
It's too big of a risk for too little reward. His name isn't out there enough to generate the kind of money that, you know, Toefimo thinks he deserves. Let's just be honest about that, because that kid is a legit threat. And so, I mean, the kid is fucking athletic, cranks, his punch is hard. So what do you say, brother?
Well, judging how Toefimo fought his last fight, with what was his name, Claggett. If he fought Brian Norman like that, he'd get knocked out. That he's pretty vicious on the inside. I think he can be outboxed on the outside a little bit. You know, and Santillan came at him, and that was Santillan's style, so that's why it looks so good. But this dude has trouble with guys that move around. Toefimo can have success, but if he tries to fight him on the inside, this dude will tear him up. But you know, it's possible. It's not impossible. But it'd be another fight where he's the underdog, I think. But he's risen to the occasion before, bro.
Yeah, no.
Apparently he's scared, though.
I agree.
Apparently, you know, but if he's saying he don't want to take it because Friday, Saturday kind of thing, that just sounds, I don't know, that's a dumb excuse. He might not believe in his abilities like I do, I guess. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think I don't know, man. You're right. That's a tough fight for him. And the money they would be throwing around for that fight is pennies on a dollar. So I completely believe that he turned that fight down. I don't doubt that at all. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
There would be. I'm saying, but they're asking him to move up in weight. He's at 140 still, isn't he?
Yeah, isn't it? Well, is Ford 140? Is he a welterweight?
Brian Norman Jr. is at 147.
All right, well then, fuck. So who cares if he turned it down? He turned down a fighter from a different weight class. You can't call that a duck.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I don't. Even if I hated Teo, which I don't hate the kid, I think his father's a knucklehead. I don't hate any fighter, but if I disliked him, I'd still say the same thing. You can never hold a fighter he ducks somebody from a different weight class. It's just just dumb talk. That's just fanboy talk. If you're somebody in your own division and you turn the fight down, yeah, straight duck. You know what I mean? But somebody from a different weight class, no. And to that call says that we're crying about Lomachenko. Well, even if we were crying since he turned that fight down to go spend time with his family that's in disarray because his country's been turned to ashes, okay? Even if we were, I wonder, was he shedding tears in the last 6 years when fucking Davis ducked Lomachenko like fucking child support payments? I doubt it.
I don't think that's an excuse because the caller sounds like he comes from one of those urban American war zones himself, so he still took the time to call in, so there's no excuses, Jimmy. A war is not an excuse. But I was listening to what you guys were saying about the Norman fight. Yeah, I'm a little conflicted because number one, that's what Dan Rayfield's reporting. I'd like to see what Toefimo Lopez's riposte is or what his side of the story is. But again, he's a guy that has often been difficult in the past with Top Rank. Starting with the Camboso situation, or no, even beforehand, when he was going to fight Lomachenko, remember that he wanted more money. So he's a guy that, I don't know if it's his father or if it's him, but he makes it difficult for Top Rank. That being said, he also makes it easy because he did fight Richard Comey. He did fight Lomachenko. He did fight Josh Taylor. He fought the very dangerous Martin. What's his name? His first name? Sandor Martin. At the last minute, remember, he was supposed to fight Pedraza, which would have been a better fight for him, or easier fight, I should say. They put him in there against Martin at the last minute. He said, yeah, why not? He fought Ortiz earlier this year. It's not an easy guy to look good against. So, yeah, the Claggett fight was a gimme. But Toefimo Lopez has been doing more, and he has been taking risks than some of his contemporaries, like Shakur Stevenson, like Tank Davis. So for him to say, look, do I really want to jump up one division? It's just the excuse that was given. And again, I want to hear Toefimo Lopez's version. But that reason given that, oh, well, it's going to be on a Friday, not a Saturday, that seems, I don't know, that's a strange reason to refuse a fight for or over.
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, like I'm not interested in moving up right now. So I don't know why they would offer him a fight at 147 if he hasn't, said he's trying to go up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the only name he said was Crawford, but that's kind of like, a joke in a way because Crawford's not coming back down to 147 and Teofimo's not going to 154.
Yeah,
so,
look,
he hasn't. What happened, media?
No, sorry, because I thought you were done.
I was going to say, what fight I do want to see Teofimo at 140 would be against Rayo. That would be good.
Teofimo versus Rayo. Yeah, you know what? That wouldn't be a bad fight. I think Teofimo beats him, but they've sparred.
He slept him in sparring, right?
Yeah, I remember. Well, did he really? I've seen the video where he drops him. I don't know about sleeping him.
Oh, I already knocked his ass out.
When he knocked Toefimo Lopez out, did Teofimo Sr. come into the ring and lie right next to his son, or?
he jumped in the ring with a blanket and lay down next to him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sparring. I don't know what to make of that, but man, listen, Brian Norman, there's not much for him at 147 either. I mean, ever since there was a mass migration from 147, Spence is probably not going to fight there. Crawford, we know, is at 154 now. Ortiz is at 154. So what's next? It's...
What's that dude's name? The Aztec, Barrios.
Yeah.
I bet. What's the other dude's name? Boots. I bet Boots and Norman. I bet they're chomping at the bit to get a fight with that guy.
Oh yeah. Everyone, especially since he's got a title of some sort. So it's a free title. Yeah, if the Turkey is really serious about making the best fights, and if he can still get these guys to co-promote like he did this past Saturday, hey, maybe hopefully Ennis versus Brian Norman. Why not? Make it happen.
That'd be a great fight because they're both inside guys.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to see that one. That makes sense. I mean, Stanionis is still rusty. Butaev, I don't know if he's fought at all. Barrios is free money. So, yeah, man, what's his name? This dude, Brian Norman versus Ennis. That's the fight to make, man. Other than that, there's not much going on at 147. Jimmy, I wanted to ask you, man, Vergil Ortiz is fighting this Saturday. he's fighting a dude that's very tough, big or tall at least for the weight class. He's an inside fighter. Ortiz, if you would have asked me a year ago who I pick, I say Ortiz stops him, and I'm fairly confident. But the reality is that he's only had 3 minutes total of action this year. He's fighting at a new weight class. He's fighting a guy that's dangerous. What do you think?
A lot of stuff going on for him. Yeah, don't be surprised. I should tell everybody, people, don't be surprised if he doesn't look overwhelming against this guy. I mean, it's a lot to ask from the kid. Plus, there's the health issue. We really don't know what's going on with that 100%. Is that going to affect him? Who knows? I don't know enough about it. But the inactivity, man, which is going to affect his timing, which obviously is so key to his power. So if he doesn't get him out of it, and if this goes the distance, which will be his first time, I believe, as a pro, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't hold it against him either. I wouldn't say, of course there'll be the detractors, the people who hate Pedro's will fucking instantly start with the bullshit with, he's overrated, yada, yada, yada. But they won't take into consideration. I mean, the kid really hasn't been hasn't even gotten his second win in a fight in, going on 4 years? At least 3 years anyway. I mean, it's crazy. So it's like he's coming out of retirement. So, and this is a big ass. I'm kind of almost even surprised they didn't give him another softer touch just to get him acclimated and just tell him, say, dude, hold off on the power a little bit. Try to get a few rounds under your belt. But yeah, so you're right there. Because of everything involved, I would not be surprised, regardless of the outcome. Nor would I hold it against him.
Maybe they're very confident in him because he's been looking good in the gym. I don't know, man. Or maybe they're just that confident in his abilities.
No, they do. They talk to you. They talk to your trainer. Like, oh yeah, big conversations between Oscar and whoever's training him. How's he looking? What do you think? You think he can do? Oh yeah. Very seldom will a promoter. I mean, I'm sure Al Heyman did it to the PBC guys all the time. But good promoters will have your trainer on speed dial to get honest, because the fighter's always going to tell you it looks good.
I think he's with Robert Garcia right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Garcia, yeah, and I'm sure, of course, Oscar respects Garcia. He'd ask him, how's he looking? How's his timing? How's the snap on his punches? Is he pushing them, or is there a lot of snap? Does he look fresh? Like, what's going on? Does he look sluggish? He's going up in weight. I'm sure, he told him, yeah, projection wise. That's why a lot of fighters leave their trainer. They don't realize it's also the promoters. Like, what the fuck, man? Your trainer telling me we're looking great, blah, blah, blah. Say if they lose, why I see a lot of these guys blast their trainer out because they got people in their ear. You know what I mean?
It's going to be interesting, man.
That's Oscar. Go
ahead, Sobers. Go ahead.
I'll say that's Oscar De La Hoya's second guy behind Ryan, right? And Golden Boy, he doesn't have anybody bigger than them?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, yeah, I would imagine that Oscar's keeping his eye closely on him, and he's making sure he's doing well, whatever. Especially with the whole Rabdo situation. I'm sure Oscar's got a magnifying glass on him.
Oh yeah.
That kid Austin too. That's getting pretty big. He's right on the cusp of
stuff in his fishnet sometimes.
Nah, come on, man. What the fuck? But
oh, Jesus Christ.
But Jimmy, one thing I'm
just checking in, Vergil.
just checking, just peeking in, yeah, just sneaking in.
I'm just ironing naked, Vergil. What are you doing?
Hey, listen, we got 2 phone calls here coming in near the end of the show here. Probably the last ones we'll be taking. Let's go to them right now. Let's go to 917. 917, you're in the air. 917, what's in your mind?
Attention, BDA boxing community. This Saturday, 2 titans face off in the ring. Will Vergil Ortiz come out victorious, or will he get knocked the fuck out?
Oh.
Tune in and find out on the next episode of BDA.
Hey, we need to hire you to do the voiceovers, man, for the promos. Oh, he hung up before I could even make him over. That was a good promo right there, man, right there. Shout out to him. Let's go to another phone call.
Clip that.
Yeah, I got to clip that, man. Shout out to 214. You're on the air. 214. What's on your mind?
Sorry, I had to call back. But there's another fight happening this Saturday. It's El Venado versus Angelo Leo.
That's right.
I think that would be a good fight.
Yeah, who do you think wins that one? You think Venado can score a knockout?
No, Venado's not a puncher like that. But
what?
I think it's going to be a decision, which is going to be tricky because Angelo's got a good punch. He's got a good punch output, very good punch output. Venado is explosive. He uses his feet and his hands for explosiveness, but he doesn't really throw that much. Honestly, and I think it's going to be a very, very. It's going to be a tough fight, but I think Angelino can pull it off if he's smart. If he boxes a little bit more, because he can box a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, man. I think Angelo Lee is a very tough guy, man. He won't stop until you put him out. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm picking Venado, but I'm not that confident, man, because he's a little shaky in there. A little bit. Anything else you want to say, caller, before we move on?
Yeah, they also got Lindolfo fighting. I think he should step up. It's time. After this fight, he should be fighting somebody known at top rank, either Toefimo or Elvis Rodriguez or whoever else they got at 140 at top rank. He should be fighting some of those guys. Maybe Jermaine Ortiz, something. Give him something.
Well, if he makes it out this Saturday with a win, then I suspect they're going to be moving him up in the ranks or in competition. So that's another interesting fighter to keep an eye on this Saturday. All right, well, listen, thank you for your call, and call back next time, man. Take it easy out there. All right, Sobers, you got to mute your mic, please, man. We got street racing there, and the drag racing in the background, man. He's at...
My bad, I thought I was on mute.
He's on Daytona over there or something. Let's go to another phone call here. 3 phone calls coming in. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's NPR. How you guys doing?
Oh, NPR, what's up, man?
Yeah, so I just wanted to call about Rayo. I was very, very impressed how he handled himself in the ring, particularly the way he used his jab to occupy the guard. We saw a variety of jabs, and he Cruz, who's very limited in his offense, right? So he just walks in with the high guard, doesn't move side to side particularly well. But in any regards, he did something that Ryan Garcia, I was screaming at the television, and when I watched the Tank fight with Ryan Garcia, it was like, lower your jab, just lower your jab. Don't try to hit anything. Try to stop forward momentum. And he did that exceptionally well. I mean, I think Robert Garcia coached him very well. He would tap, and then just spin to his right, and Cruz had no answer for that. And so I thought he did a beautiful job. I think against somebody like Tio, who I'm glad you guys brought it up. You saw Tio at the fight, and he was all excited. He was happy that Rayo won. Rayo did some good legwork. In other words, Tio has a problem going against guys that move. Think about the Sandor Martin fight. The reason he did so well against Lomachenko, because he made Lomachenko the aggressor, where he just occupied the middle of the ring and didn't have to chase Lomachenko. Lomachenko had to chase him all night and try to break through that, and so he won 6 rounds straight, and then ended up winning the fight. So I think that it would be an interesting matchup. Rayo doesn't have a lot of power, but certainly if Rob Garcia can get him to not move away with his head in the air, his chin so high in the air, he tends to do that. I think that he could frustrate. I don't know how much stopping power he has, but certainly he could frustrate Tio all night long. And I think that will be a very intriguing matchup, and would cause Tio problems. Because once again, I'll reiterate that Tio has a problem with guys that move. The Sandor Martin fight is evidence of that. Anyway, gentlemen, take care. Good speaking with you, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
All right, NPR. I always appreciate you calling in, man. Take it easy out there.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was NPR right there. He brought up a good point, man, that I missed. Yeah, that's true. The footwork is probably going to bother Teofimo. Because I was thinking, wow, but Rayo leaves his chin up in the air and Teofimo Lopez can't crack. But then I remember, like NPR just brought it up. Yeah, the footwork. It's true. He's going to keep Teofimo Lopez turning. And it might not be easy for as long as it goes. That's a good point right there. Shout out to everybody who's called in so far, or everybody that called in tonight. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to Earl, who said Crawford is the most welfare. Come on. He says Crawford is the most welfare boxer of this era, with being pound for pound number one for so long, with a mediocre resume and getting overpaid for what he brings in. DEI. What does that stand for again? I know it's got something to do with that, the diversity, right? What is it? The diversity equity rate? What is it?
Diversity,
Honestly, I have no idea,
equity, and inclusion.
Okay. Shout out to Jimmy. Yeah, okay. So that's what Earl Stevens is saying. Look, I gotta reiterate, Crawford. I'm not a big fan of his character, but we're judging him by his boxing accolades here. I think he's always been a very dangerous guy because he puts his strengths together, and that's what's made him undefeated so far. But yeah, when people were saying that he was number one pound for pound, meanwhile he's fighting the Shots, Khans, and Brooks of the world. I mean, look at the grief Canelo's taking, and rightfully so, for facing Berlanga and Munguia. But they weren't, the mainstream media wasn't giving that flag to Crawford. That's what I didn't really get. It's like, if you're not gonna keep it honest and real, then I gotta question where you're coming from. So I agree with Earl Stevens. Like, this dude was getting so many accolades for doing so little compared to other guys. Like, I mean, even last year, near the end of last year, when Inoue beat Fulton and Tapales, Crawford still wanted to be number one pound for pound and still wanted to be fighter of the year that year. And when he got shut down, he started to throw a hissy fit, just like Hearn caused him to throw a hissy fit earlier today on Instagram. So, him and his fans, they got to give their heads a shake, because they're acting like children, spoiled children. They got to learn a little discipline. And we here at BDA, we dole out the discipline. More ways than one, let me tell you. I got masks, I got whips, I got it all, man. I got a bunch of contraptions in my house. But look, the point is that...
you got a toy box, BDA?
No. I don't have a trailer that I call a toy box. No. The toy box. Is that what you were referring to? The toy box killer or the toy box killer or?
Yeah, bro.
No, come on. No. I don't. No, I'm talking just some legal, regular S&M stuff. But not even that I don't touch. Even that's too much for me. Listen, fellas, I want to give a shout out to everybody that tuned in, everybody that called in, everyone that donated with the super chat. Really appreciate it, fellas. We'll be back. I want to do a film analysis on Ortiz versus Bohachuk, because I'm interested in just outlining Ortiz's strengths and his weaknesses, and also the fact that this Bohachuk is actually quite good and dangerous. So with that, I'll leave you with this. There you go. What a press conference. That's really sure to bring in the viewers. All right, fellas, thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank Never Sobers, Jimmy, Recognize, who was here earlier as well. Shout out to those guys. Thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate it. And again, I'll try to be back later on this week. Don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. You can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. And that's about it. Thanks. Take it easy.